3, 2, 1.
Good morning. Good morning. Recognizing the quorum, I'm calling this meeting of the Cannabis Control Commission to order at 10 a.m. on March 10th, 2022. This meeting is being recorded. My thanks to Grace and Hanley for producing this, let's get going. I have a few brief opening remarks, and then as usual, I'll offer my fellow commissioners the opportunity to do the same, and then I'll go through the agenda. I'd like to apologize to Sean for stealing some of his thunder. In his presentation, he's going to note, among other things, that we've crossed the threshold of now having 200 retail adult use stores open in the state. Pretty cool milestone, but it really doesn't change anything. We know we have more work to do as the industry continues to mature, certainly including equity. But we have several other continuing challenges. One is to ensure that the new types of licenses that we've authorized, both for delivery operator and delivery couriers, have a fair opportunity to succeed in the marketplace. With the help of the legislature, we have to ensure that there's a safe and thoughtful rollout of social consumption. I personally would still like to see us get some licenses out to research facilities, and I know that's something that staff under the leadership of Sean are working very hard on. As the industry continues to mature, it's important for us to make sure that there's a balance throughout the supply chain, not just in terms of cultivation, manufacturing, and retail, but also ensure that we have adequate lab support, transport support. That will continue to be a challenge. And of course, we want to make sure that we're continuing to expand access to and the impact from the medical marijuana industry. But this threshold is also an opportunity to do two things. One is to thank staff. The numbers that you see in Sean's presentation every month are just a partial indication of how hard and productively our staff works. I want to take this opportunity of crossing this threshold to both thank them and tell them how proud I am of our agency and of everybody in it. I also want to thank the industry. We don't see ourselves on the front page of the Boston Globe every day, which used to be the case for you new commissioners. That used to be the case back in 2017, 2018. Every single day we were on the front page. I'm personally hurt Jim Browdy doesn't call me to get me on a show every week as he did back in 2017 and 2018. But I think that's good. I think that means that we have done a good job of growing this industry, and if I could use the word, normalizing it. I think that most of the businesses that are operating are positive contributors to their community, not just in terms of tax revenue they generate and jobs that they create, but they're good corporate citizens. And I want to thank them. I want to thank all of our licensees, but particularly the small first-time entrepreneurs who have made this happen. With that, let me turn it over to my fellow commissioners, starting with Commissioner Camargo, if you have some opening comments.
Thank you, Chairman. I think Jim is going to call you now.
That's what that was a bold plea to get me on a show again.
We'll work with our communications team to make sure that happens. But Chairman, thank you so much. First of all, I want to acknowledge it is Women's Month. It's a great reminder of all the women, the amazing women that we have in leadership roles here at the CCC, but also in other roles throughout the organization, and to the women in the cannabis space. I've met a lot of women along the way, so shout out to all you ladies out there. And it's a reminder that women matter every day, but more importantly this month. So I just wanted to say that. I also want to thank our lawmakers at the State House for keeping cannabis equity at the forefront this legislative session. We've been walking the halls virtually, of course, at the State House and meeting with lawmakers to collaborate and educate one another on the current state of cannabis. As you all may recall, on November 18th, all 5 commissioners voted to advocate for a state-administered loan or grant program composed of public and private funds that would support equity applicants. The intended results of our equity mandate haven't been met yet. The data gets better, and you'll hear our executive director today with when he discusses his numbers on the slides. But as of today, we have 11 economic empowerment and 15 social equity businesses that have commenced operations out of 364 active licenses in the state. Hundreds are waiting. Folks are stuck in the process due to host community agreement issues, securing location, but most importantly, funding. Remember, these owners can't just walk into a bank and apply for a loan. On July 31st, the legislative session will come to an end or to a close. If Massachusetts opts out of this equity fund, it will have failed the intended results of this industry after almost 6 years since adult use became legal. The time is now, and I'm optimistic that our lawmakers understand the sense of urgency and the need for the intended outcomes in Massachusetts, Illinois, Connecticut, New York, Virginia. They've all figured it out. Let's not wait 8 years. The time is now. And thank you, Chairman, for allowing me a few minutes.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Fargo. I certainly agree with and support your comments, so thank you for that. Commissioner Concepcion.
Thank you, Chairman. I have a few brief comments, hopefully. I wanted to first extend my thanks and gratitude to Secretary Reedy and his team at the Executive Office of Public Safety and Security, or EOPS, for sitting down with me recently to discuss some shared priorities and opportunities around increased public awareness on criminal record sealing and expungement. I've talked about this a lot since my beginning here as a commissioner. I've focused on increasing awareness and removing the perception that the legal industry is unattainable for people who have criminal records. And I often reference my work on the 2018 Criminal Justice Reform Package, which was really a massive piece of legislation that incorporated several smaller bills and touched on pretty much every facet of our criminal justice system here in Massachusetts. However, I had a personal hand in developing the laws eliminating what's called collateral consequences, or legal restrictions that limit or prohibit people beyond the terms of a sentence. Now, this included reducing the sealing availability period from 10 years to 7 years for felonies, from 5 years to 3 years for misdemeanors, requiring licensing authorities like ourselves here at the Commission to disclose disqualifying offenses in advance, and also establishing the state's first statutory expungement process that's available for certain petitioners. In our case, in the case of cannabis, expungement process for former offenses that are no longer a crime. And I really wanted to take a moment to encourage anyone who's interested in a more comprehensive breakdown to simply Google my name and the term collateral consequences. And what you'll find is the resources that I created for anyone who's interested in navigating the new laws. Now, as the public safety seat, I see it as my unique responsibility to work with other public safety officials to not only ensure that the laws of the Commonwealth are followed, but also understood, because it's hard for anyone to really take advantage of the law if they don't know it. So I look forward to continuing the conversation and working together to promote increased awareness. I also wanted to take a moment to thank everyone who submitted public comments around our process for identifying areas that have been most impacted by cannabis prohibition enforcement. And lastly, just a quick congratulations again for those who have entered cohort 3 of our social equity program here at the Cannabis Control Commission. It's a really significant step. It was really nice to talk to everyone last week, and I really want to, tilt my hat to the staff here for putting on such a really good orientation for those people who are participating.
Thank you very much, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Commissioner Roy.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As always, I want to thank the Commission staff for their hard work and extraordinary commitment each and every day to ensure that Massachusetts has a secure and safely regulated cannabis industry. I also want to take this time to address some dangerous industry trends that affect public health. The first involves home manufacturing and cannabis extraction. Last month, a Pittsfield man suffered life-threatening injuries during an explosion at a local mill building as he tried to extract hash oil from marijuana and could now face charges. Home cannabis extraction methods that use propane, butane, and similar substances are illegal because they are highly flammable and extremely dangerous. It is mind-blowing that folks would risk blowing themselves up as well as innocent people while attempting home extraction when they can safely purchase their shatter and wax from a regulated marijuana establishment. Let's save the cannabis extraction for our licensed product manufacturers whose extraction labs and kitchens are up to code and in compliance with state laws. There is also another disturbing industry trend that we are seeing, both nationally and here in Massachusetts. At an alarming rate, children are accidentally ingesting and getting sick on unsecured cannabis products. Accidental pediatric cannabis poisonings are avoidable. In 2020, Massachusetts public health officials received 210 calls involving kids eating cannabis edibles and flour. Nationally, during the same time period, there were over 3,000 pediatric exposures. Today's cannabis is much more potent, and a wider variety of product lines, such as gummies, ice cream, candies, and cookies, can appeal to children. As we all know, non-medical pediatric exposure to cannabis products can be harmful and negatively affect a developing brain. New data shows that children 3 to 5 years of age are at the highest risk for accidental marijuana consumption. Edibles are responsible for half of the marijuana accidents for children 9 and under. Mild symptoms of accidental cannabis ingestion in a child include drowsiness, agitation, confusion, increased heart rate, trouble breathing, coordination issues, and red eyes. More severe symptoms include seizures, neurological impairment, and intense breathing issues. The effects of edibles in a child can take up to 90 minutes to kick in and can last up to 24 hours. The Massachusetts Cannabis Control Commission's product labeling and packaging regulations mandate marijuana products be sold in specially marked certified child-resistant packaging. The use of bright colors, cartoon characters, and other features designed to appeal to minors are expressly prohibited. More and more, however, and in spite of these protective regulations, marijuana products that are not secured properly are being mistaken for candy by children. When it comes to kids, adults must consume cannabis safely and responsibly. Lock it up as if it were a prescription medication or toxic substance, and make sure to take additional steps to safeguard your marijuana products as your children grow older. The Cannabis Control Commission has been consistently proactive in this discussion, sharing important information about the dangers of accidental pediatric cannabis exposure, contact information for poison control, when to call 911, and tips for safely securing your cannabis products. This public health information can be readily found on the More About MJ tab on the Commission's website. Public health agencies in Massachusetts are rightfully calling for more resources to help increase awareness and education around this problem. Children should not be getting sick by consuming unsecured cannabis products. It is time to nip this dangerous trend in the bud before it grows larger. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and my fellow commissioners for your time this morning around these serious public health issues.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Roy. Commissioner Stebbins.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You know, the benefit of going last is sometimes I can just say ditto to everything my colleagues said, but
I think you just kind of caused me to change my policy. You're first next month.
Well, I do just want to take a minute, as always, thanking our staff for their great work getting us ready for the meeting. I have to a shout out to our legal licensing and investigations leadership. They were really diligent this week in helping me run down some concerns I had about a handful of our license applicants. So thank them for that. Also celebrating International Women's Day. Can't celebrate it without thanking my fellow commissioners, as well as the incredible team of women across the commission. So I just want to add on to Commissioner Camargo's point about the Social Equity Fund as we see every month, and she pointed out the kind of log jam that we're seeing as social equity applicants and EE applicants work their way through the licensing process. And they struggled to reach that final license or that commenced operations stage because of the challenges of securing adequate capital, Mr. Chair, as you always point out, and securing capital or financing that isn't going to threaten their livelihood or their business, and that's a big concern. But it's pointed out that other states that are following Massachusetts in allowing adult use cannabis are undertaking efforts to create such funds. So encourage our legislators to continue their efforts to find a program model that'll work. And again, hopefully we can move more social equity and EE applicants across the goal line. I'm not going to use a baseball analogy because I'm a little miffed at MLB right now, but I think a fund will go a long way towards moving some of these applicants across the finish line.
Thank you. Yeah, you know, we are not a political entity, so we try not to take political stands. However, you know, I totally support your comments about baseball. Come on, guys, let's get started. Let's play games. Okay. Thank you very much, Commissioner Stebbins. If we could have the agenda slide up, please. Okay, I hate to jinx us, but I think this will be, by at least our standards, another relatively short meeting. We do have a lot of work to do, but I suspect it'll be a relatively short meeting. What we'll do is we'll take a break sometime mid-morning, and then we'll see where we are and either try to power through, or if it's taking us a little longer, we'll take a lunch break. But we'll certainly have one break mid-morning. Although, as always, my fellow commissioners, just raise your hand if you need a short break. We have one set of minutes for approval, which is from our last meeting, which is February 10th, 2022. As always, my thanks to Christopher Smith and Commissioner Stebbins as the Commission Secretary for keeping us honest and up to date on our minutes. So thank you very much for that. We have the Executive Director's Report, and I'm hopeful that Sean will put another fancy new slide in there we all can get excited about, but I'm certainly looking forward to that. We have a lot of licensing work to do. We have 7 changes of ownership to review, 54 renewals, 14 final licenses, and by my count, 33 provisional licenses, 32 adult use and 1 medical provisional license. With respect to commission discussion and votes, we just have 2 agenda items. One is a job posting, a new job posting, and then one RVT vendor renewal application. So let's get started. And as I said, we'll take a break mid-morning, and then we'll see whether we can go through all the way before lunch or whether we need to take another break at lunch. But why don't we get started? First of all, let's talk about minutes for approval. Can I ask my fellow commissioners, have you had a chance to review the minutes from our last meeting, February 10th, 2022? Do you have any questions, comments, or suggested edits? Then could I ask Commissioner Stebbins, as Secretary, would you make a motion, please, to approve the minutes from February 10th, 2022?
So moved.
Thank you. Commissioner Roy, would you second that motion, please?
Second.
Thank you. Let the record show that Commissioner Stebbins made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner Roy. Commissioner Camargo, your vote, please.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Concepcion.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Roy.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Stebbins.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Hoffman, aye. Let the record show that the commission approved the minutes from February 10th, 2022 by a vote of 5 in favor. Commissioners Camargo, Concepcion, Roy, Stebbins, and Hoffman with none opposed. Thank you very much. And again, Christopher Smith and Commissioner Stebbins, thank you very much for your work on this. Next up is the Executive Director's Report. Mr. Executive Director, are you ready to go?
I am. Good morning.
Good morning. Please go ahead.
Do with report out from a lot of our data sources. So first and foremost is our mass cannabis industry portal. So the highlights from this data, as you see here, there are 8 applications awaiting their first review, their initial evaluation. That's something that is on par with previous months. We continue to get through those with a great deal of efficiency. There are 34 applications before you today for your consideration. There are 31 applications that are awaiting a supplemental review. Those are applications that we've reviewed once, at least once already, and we've reopened them for additional information that the applicant needs to either update, supply, or it might just be otherwise incomplete. And those have been returned to us and are awaiting now a second or a subsequent review. And also, as of right now, we have 98,846 certified active patients in our medical use of marijuana program. Calling your attention to some subsets here of this data. This is the total length or really high horizon view of our data here. You see that 85% of our applications that are somewhere in our queue are actually either withdrawn or incomplete. So the majority of our work is in fact not work pending before us. That said, also 10% of the applications in that system have actually been considered and approved by the Commission. So in total, 95% of that workload that appears to be workload is in fact not pending before us, but has either not yet been submitted or has in fact been dispatched with. So just to add some perspective to this data, where you see 9,798 may appear to be daunting, that work is either complete or not before us just yet. So just thought that context was important for your perspective.
Thank you.
This slide here is a total of licenses approved by category, and you see the number might be, numbers are growing in certain areas. Again, that traditional supply chain is something that's we keep track of, which is that cultivator, product manufacturer, and retailer. with independent testing labs being a critical component of it. But the other license types, including courier, delivery operator, craft cooperative, continue to be numbers we want to see growth in, but obviously that traditional supply chain outweighs it significantly. Mr. Chairman, you noted earlier, 364 entities have commenced their operations here in the Commonwealth. 204 of them are retailers. So that is a milestone. It's not a milestone that triggers any event or anything, but obviously does speak to the work of our staff, especially our licensing staff and our investigative staff that are out there in the field. But this is an agency-wide lift, and it's something that without this infrastructure we have here at the agency, certainly would not be possible. But it's also folks that began with a paperwork application or submitting their application through the cannabis industry portal, built out their facility within their municipality, got it approved, and made their way all the way down this process with a provisional approval, paying their license fees, getting built out, inspected several times by us likely, and then ultimately commencing their operations and now conducting business here in Massachusetts as this industry continues to get a foothold. So just wanted to call your attention to that milestone, but also point out that 364 entities are active and working right here in Massachusetts today. This slide here shows a bit of our workload. Again, as I note every month that I noted earlier, there's 8 applications awaiting that first review. There's also the 34 applications that are, we have the pending application as well that I referenced earlier. There's 166 applications we've reopened and sent out to licensees that have not yet come back. So we're waiting on some additional supplemental information from them. The third-party responses are cities and towns that may need to confirm compliance with local zoning and bylaws or our background checks through CSI. You do have 34 applications pending before you today, and those that have been considered, 1,198, includes those approved by you, the Commission, as well as delivery pre-certifications. That's an administrative process that operates much like that mortgage pre-approval. This section here references the classification of licenses, or excuse me, applications, whether they're expedited, whether they're prioritized, or they're general applicants. So you'll see here that 255 entities or applications have utilized MTC priority status. 105 entities or applications have utilized their economic empowerment status. Those both application types are prioritized and jump the queue at all times. 495 entities have utilized expedited review, and 592 entities did not enjoy either priority status or expedited status, and therefore are general applicants. The right-hand side table, you see how folks secured their expedited status, which is the license type, social equity program participant, DBE through the Supplier Diversity Office, or in some cases 2 or more categories. Just some notes that I think are important. I went back to last year, March, and tried to compare some of this data. And I think what was interesting and compelling to me is that the MTC priority application status, last year we had 252 at this time. So 3 applications in the intervening year. As far as economic empowerment priority status though, that's an additional 45 applications have utilized that status. So you see that MTC priority has really stalled or slowed, but economic empowerment continues to be active. Expedited review, however, is 225 applications, the difference of in the calendar year. So folks are certainly taking advantage of that and using that status to expedite the review of their applications. So again, just year over year differences.
Sean, do you know for that 225 increase in expedited review, do you know how many of them were social equity participants?
That's a great question. 119.
Great. Thank you very much for that data. You've just shared an awful lot of information with us quickly, so let me pause, Sean, and any of my fellow commissioners have any questions or comments on the data that Sean's reviewed thus far? Okay, keep going, please.
This slide here is a little further breakdown of those applications. Again, economic empowerment, social equity program, or DBE status. You'll see now that about 40%, just under 40%, 39.9% of our total applications that have been approved by the Commission. So that's 477 out of the 1,194 enjoy one of, or at least one of those statuses as either economic empowerment, social equity, or DBE. Compared to the same data last year, it was about 28.8%. So that number has obviously increased. We'd like to see it continue increasing. However, I think just pointing out for your information here, and I think it speaks to a comment Commissioner Camargo made earlier, as we'd like to see folks advance downward in this table, 85% of those total applications are at the provisional license or higher phase of this. So they're either pre-certified, you see that 174, provisionally approved, which is they've been considered by the commission, have not yet paid their license fee, or provisional license. So what really advances someone from provisional license to say final or commence operations is access to capital, the ability to build out your facility and really go from the paperwork phase to the actual construction and tangible phase. So 85% being in that that section is obviously something we want to see advance and have that number trickle downward. So the numbers here are we're progressing, we're making progress, but I think it's just worth keeping ourselves honest there.
Okay, Commissioner Roy. You're on mute, Commissioner Roy. You're still on mute.
How do you, Mr. Executive Director, not double count if someone is economic empowerment, social equity, and a DBA? Or do you? I don't know.
Yeah, there may be risk as far as double counting, as far as social equity program and DBE. Economic empowerment alone is the prioritized application. There's nothing else you would need to advance through. So there's obviously a risk that folks could be double counted here, of course. So I guess it's probably the best answer I can give you at this point.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, keep going, please.
So this,
my favorite slide.
This slide here is the data heavy, so I do try to call your attention to certain things. You see here there's a three pending applications for craft marijuana cooperatives. I think Commissioner Camargo, you may have asked in the past about this license type specifically, and I think the answer still holds as far as the complexity of the license type. There are some challenges as far as the craft marijuana cooperative, the cooperative principles that folks need to abide by, the necessary Schedule F tax return, which demonstrates the status as a farmer, Massachusetts residency, etc. We do have three pending applications, and if I'm not mistaken, I believe there might be an application before you today for provisional license. So
there is
that progress, I think, is there's nothing tied to the question. It's a matter of folks are making their way through the process, which is great. But the license type alone, I think, just reflecting on that question, we're seeing folks apply for other license types as just being more either accessible or more amenable to their business planning. There are, as of right now, 6 marijuana courier licenses that have commenced their operations. There's also 84 pre-certified folks. So that tends to be the precursor to a pending application, which you see there's 8 for courier licenses. Looking at the independent testing labs, you see there's 9 that have commenced their operations, as well as 1 with the final license. So that 10th could be online with shortly, obviously depending on the status of their inspections and their readiness for the inspection to occur. You see there's 76 marijuana cultivators that have commenced their operations, as well as 22 final licenses. So that's the supply chain that's on the way, so to speak. We do have 14 marijuana delivery operator licenses that have a provisional license. Again, there's a handful before you today for your consideration with for final license. A significant aspect of that, and I want to make sure I call the commission's attention to it, the 3-year exclusivity window. That begins, that clock starts to tick upon the issuance of the first commence operations for a marijuana delivery operator. So obviously with the issuance of a final license, that is a significant milestone in that exclusivity window. And so obviously, rest assured, that will not be a secret to anybody. If and when that does occur, we would make sure that folks are aware of it and also begin to talk about what those metrics would look like for evaluation of the effectiveness of that exclusivity window, and give the commission obviously as much information and tools as you need to make that decision down the road. You see as well that there's 6 pending applications, as well as 65 pre-certified entities or individuals that again may make up the future application data for us. 63 product manufacturers have commenced their operations, another 12 with a final license. Again, that supply chain that's on the way. There are 7 pending research applications for research facilities. And so there's a little bit of activity there. Again, no licenses have been issued yet, but Some folks have withdrawn applications historically as well. So I think folks are looking at conducting R&D within their license type, but there are still 7 pending applications. 198 marijuana retailers. That was as of this data was, I want to say, as of late last week. So again, we're having some advances here with 204 as of today. So this is something that is a moving target for us constantly in the data being live. So we continue to grow with the presence of marijuana retailers across Massachusetts. I also point out that there's 53 final licenses in some phase here. That does represent the next round of entities that could commence their operations, again, based on their status for readiness for inspections. So again, happy to take any questions you may have, realizing this is a data dense slide.
Questions? I guess you're just doing a great job of explicating, so please keep going.
There's a lot here to it. So this slide is it's not new. It's something that we will continue to present, though, which is the breakdown of cultivation. Again, the 76 total of commenced operations as far as their status as indoor cultivators or outdoor cultivators. You see, again, there's 63 indoor as well as 13 outdoor, as well as 6 finals for outdoor. Again, those folks, given the season that we're in, are going to be energetic and chomping at the bit to get going, as well as 13 provisional licenses that are in some phase of build out and readiness as far as their inspection status. So those outdoor cultivators, this is the season. In fact, I'm sure they'd love to be ready to go right now. So as far as their harvest is concerned. I find this information interesting, so I obviously decided to take the numbers and blow them up and share it with you. So, and it's compelling to me in that I had an expectation and a hypothesis, perhaps, that applicants would they'd gravitate toward the larger square footage, just as a business opportunity. But you see here that the smaller 3 tiers, tiers 1 through 3, which maximizes or tops out at 20,000 square feet, represent 58% or almost 60% of our total commenced operations cultivation licenses. And that the top 3 tiers, so starting at 70,000 up to 100,000 square feet of canopy, is just 14%. So again, it was interesting to me. I found it to be notable and wanted to share it with you and call your attention to it. I don't know what it tells us aside from it's obviously very expensive to build out a cultivation facility, especially indoor. And that might be why folks are gravitating toward the smaller with intent to grow perhaps or to expand over time. But I just had this hypothesis that folks would gravitate toward the higher cultivation tiers, and that does not appear, at least at this point, to be proven true.
Sean, so you just brought up something, Sean, that we haven't talked about for a while, which is changing tiers, both up and the relegation program for going down. Has there been much activity either direction from licensees moving up or down tiers?
We've seen some folks after provisional license is issued, I'm sure as they start to build out, attempt to self-relegate. So in other words, I'd like to go down, especially there might be a renewal contemplation of right. That license fee as it comes due, maybe too much, or as we build out our facility, we're going to scale back the plans. We have not relegated anyone in any formal process. We've not, in a lot of instances, it's still too young as far as the data.
Right.
There are attempts from folks that after they get their provisional license to then seek a tier expansion, but before they've actually opened their facility. And that's something that you do need to demonstrate 6 months worth of data, right. And you do not have it if you're just a provisional licensee. So that is something we get questions about often. We've had some waiver requests for it. And those are things that, again, based on the regulations, is not something we can grant. So it is a live, ripe conversation for sure. And I do know we do get questions on it often. And I think our licensing staff and our investigative staff are well equipped to answer those questions.
Great. Thank you very much. Other questions? Please keep going.
So this slide here represents the medical use of marijuana program and is actually the rationale for why I went back into the data from March of 2021 just to compare some activity year over year. And you'll see here that there's, as of right now, 94 MTCs that have commenced their operations, recalling too that those are vertically integrated facilities, so cultivation, product manufacturing, and dispensaries under one license. That represents an increase of 17 commenced operations over last year. So in the course of the past year, we've opened 17 additional MTCs here in Massachusetts. The provisional licenses have gone down by 15 and the final licenses have gone down by 4. That's just a migration of licenses through the process, as well as some licenses having expired. The other data point I think is interesting is that the certified active patients being at 98,846 is an increase of 3,662 over last year, 2021. Now, granted, in 2020, we saw a massive spike based on the COVID, and as well, I think the triggering event was the closure of adult use retail as being non-essential. So folks gravitated toward that medical program, which did remain open, but that number has sustained year over year, and in fact increased modestly, but increased nonetheless. What we're not seeing a lot of activity in is increase in certifying physicians or nurse practitioners. So certifying physicians have increased by 12 providers and nurse practitioners by 10 providers. So obviously wanted to make sure we have a sufficient provider community to support those patients. But just wanted to call your attention to that, which is that certified active patients are staying in the medical system. They're not abandoning that registration. And we're trying to support them with additional MTCs as that license process makes its way. I also wanted to comment briefly just on the, I read in the news recently as far as perhaps some confusion relative to the budget for the medical use of marijuana program. What is not accounted for in that budget is really the nuts and bolts here of our operations. So all of the inspectional staff and licensing staff that are managing and overseeing that program are paid for out of our main line item. What is really supported through this fiscal year is about the 2.7 million, are things like the medical use of marijuana operating system, the software program and infrastructure that manages the registration system, as well as all of the patient registration cards. Those are the two biggest, by far, the two biggest expenses in that program. But the folks that work here and are out in the field and are working on a licensing staff are generally supported out by that main line item. So I just wanted to clear up any confusion there. It does not cost us $2.7 million to maintain or manage the medical use of marijuana program. In fact, it's significantly more. So just wanted to clarify that.
Thank you for that. Go ahead, Commissioner Roy.
I just have a question. We have almost 100 certified active patients, but 392 certified providers. That's like a massive ratio, I guess, inequity, I would say. Is it very laborious for a provider to become a certified cannabis provider in the state of Massachusetts? And why do you think there's so few compared to so many patients?
As far as we are concerned, it should not be, and I don't believe that it is overly laborious to register with the medical use of marijuana program. I think for a lot of providers, so we rely heavily upon those governing bodies. So the Board of Registration of Medicine or the Board of Registration of Nursing. We don't license physicians. We don't govern their conduct. We register them with their ability. We do require that they be licensed and that at all times they comply with those requirements of their governing bodies. So for us, I believe it's relatively simple. And even there's been some modifications and evolution in the governance of nurse practitioners, for instance, as far as historically they've had to be overseen by a physician, their work. In some cases now that's not the case. So we're very careful about that. And so we try to engage with providers whenever necessary and whenever possible as far as what do you need and how can we be helpful. I think part of the rationale is that, unfortunately, especially in the medical community, there's still a stigma associated with cannabis. And devoting your practice to cannabis is you're not entitled to insurance reimbursements. So your traditional business medical model is just not available here in this space. So I think that's one reason it may, but I don't think it's the only one, but it's certainly a factor that folks are weighing and considering, is this a business model for me? And I think unfortunately in the conduct of medicine, cannabis continues to be a business as opposed to the delivery of medicine and care.
There's another data point. Thanks for raising that question, Commissioner Roy. I think this is a big issue, one that unfortunately I think we have limited ability to directly address. One of the data points that's not on here because there are no data is that we've also authorized physician's assistants to certify that a patient meets qualifying conditions. There are 0 nurse practitioners that, physician's assistants that have signed up. And again, it's one that I don't know that we have much, if any, ability to directly affect other than through our ongoing efforts to expand and normalize medical marijuana. Any other comments? So, thank you. Any other questions or comments for Sean moves on? And go ahead, please, Sean.
So this concludes the data portion. For the sake of efficiency, the maps you historically see are included in the presentation just later in the deck. I moved them to the end just to find some time, but they've been updated and so those are still available to the public. And so over the course of the next few months, I'll try to cycle in new slides or older slides just to make sure we're staying current and live and call your attention to data that I think is compelling or interesting to me or we as the agency, and then things that I want to make sure to call your attention to as well as the public's. Just some metrics and markers that we're monitoring to see activity. So I do have some updates for you that I wanted to briefly go through. I think Commissioner Concepcion, you may have referenced the Social Equity Program Cohort 3 kicked off formally, and we were able to welcome the largest cohort ever with essentially a day's worth of programming that spoke to all things related to the agency as well as the cannabis industry, and really kick off that their activity and their coursework. So really, I think an exciting day for us, but one that a lot of the agency contributed to, especially the commissioners as well, but a lot of our staff, and it's something that I think we're all excited to do and happy to provide a resource and be a resource for those participants as they embark on their programming and we root for them and their future success here in the industry. So I wanted to call your attention to that. And I can go through the remainder and pause for questions at the end if that's
yeah, why don't you do that?
Okay, so I think it was just last week, the days are merging, but I think it was March 1st. We testified before the Joint Committee on Ways and Means in a virtual hearing, and we requested the formal budget request for FY23, the next fiscal year, of $20.2 million for our commission's operations, the public education campaign, as well as the medical use of marijuana. So that's a combined 3 line items, which adds up to $20.2 million. The testimony itself was relatively straightforward. There were very few questions from the legislature, so we look forward to continuing our advocacy for that. It is a budget increase. It's an increase from this current fiscal year as well as an increase over what the House 2 administration's budget allotted for us. So we continue to advocate for that and making sure that we can continue to grow and scale this agency alongside the industry as it grows as well. Related to the legislature, the ability to meet remotely as we are right now was extended through July 15th of this calendar year. And that was done in a COVID resource bill not too long ago. It's been signed into law by the governor. And so that extension is now available to the commission for your public meetings through July 15th of 2022. And I guess related to that, as you see a lot of activity around cities and towns, as well as the State House itself reopening, our offices do remain closed to the public at this point. Our office and our agency is working remotely and working from home. We do have staff in the field continually, but we continue to now talk about return to office, what that looks like, what some of the operational challenges may be, and what will be the best way to make sure that we're able to keep our staff, one another, the public, and others safe during this process. So obviously considering health and safety of our staff first and foremost, but continuing to talk about what a return to our office, again, headquarters being in Union Station, what that looks like for us as an agency and how we can most effectively do it, knowing we've been remote now for going on 2 years. So while our agency has been really productive, incredibly productive, it is something that is, it seems like a conversation that's happening in just about every office across the state and the country at this point. So we are not unique. And again, happy to take any questions you may have.
Other questions? Go ahead, Commissioner Concepcion.
Thank you. And thank you, Mr. Executive Director, for that update and for the presentation so far. I might be getting ahead, but I wanted to know if you had an update for us on the process around designated areas, disproportionately impacted areas. So if you do, I'll take back my comment, but I just wanted to hear what's happening so far, what the next steps are.
Sure. If there's any questions on this slide, the very next slide is actually an update on that topic. So I will, it's a great question, it's timely, and I'll get to that next.
Thank you, Sean.
Go ahead, Sean.
So to answer your question then, Commissioner, thank you. This was not coordinated, I promise. Public comment period did close on, I was last Friday, March 4th. We received 37 comments in total. I'm still processing, I guess, whether or not that is surprising to me. It's a dense topic. It's something that I think is, it means a lot of things to a lot of people. It does represent, it could represent obviously a significant change in commission policy. But I think folks are, especially the public, we ask them for their thoughts on it, their comment on it. And we try to target exactly what it is that we're looking for, but realizing that depending on where you live and what aspect of this industry you might be interested in, its relevance to you, I think, is something we want to be clear about. And I think that's where DIAs are often misunderstood. And so 37 comments in total is something we're certainly grateful for. The next step for that would be we do have 2 DEI work groups inside the agency comprised of agency staff. We have commission voices, which mostly reflects internally. How are we as an employer and what can we do to live up to our expectations for ourselves? And then access and equity is an external facing, programmatic facing or programmatic based. What can we do to make sure we're living up to our mission as an agency and as a regulatory body? So that commission DEI work group, the access and equity work group, is going to take those 37 comments, review them, evaluate them, and then propose based on that as well as their own opinion, recommendations to the commission as far as next steps. Those recommendations will come to the commission along with the public comment. It's not going to be that we'll take the comment, consolidate and condense it, but instead it'll be accompanied by essentially some cover work from that access and equity work group, bring it back to the commission for your consideration. So really trying to package everything into one cohesive project, and that will include all of the work we've done historically. In fact, it was the March meeting last year that this work was brought to you. And so I think we want to be complete in that exercise and bring you a complete package. So ultimately, I suspect that may be on a June timeframe. That's our expectation at this point, but I do want to give that access and equity work group the time they need to process things. So.
All right, Commissioner, excuse me, Commissioner Concepcion.
Thank you. Sean, can you give us an update on if there is or has been or will be any outreach to the cities and towns that will be impacted by these changes?
Yes, another great question. That is ongoing as well, kind of in a parallel track. So, and it's a kind of twofold. One is those cities and towns that, even threefold. Those that are in the 29 cities and towns today, and what, based on any changes that may be proposed, how they may be impacted by that. Certainly, adding folks that are not there today, but could be added through this exercise. There's also folks that did not report into NIBRS, which is that data set that was utilized. I think that was north of about 50 or so communities, and that outreach is active as well to obtain data. So it's really kind of the folks that might be on today that could be off, folks that are not on today that could be added, and then those folks that don't report into those traditional data reporting that we've accessed and leveraged to solicit their information as well, to make sure, again, a complete evaluation.
Commissioner Camargo.
Thank you, Sean. This is a great update. I really appreciate this report, and it's been tabled since then. So I can't believe a year has gone by. So it's good to see the progress. This stuff takes time. Sean, I wanted to ask you, and this is a little bit going back a little bit. We talked about the Commission's DEI Access and Equity Work Group, and you also mentioned Commission Voices. I don't know if this is the time or the place, but I would love to hear a little bit about those two groups. You know, I've never really heard about them, but I'm not sure exactly what the makeup is,
Sure.
you know, all that good stuff. So maybe whether you want to give a high level overview now, but you know, I think it's important because we talk about equity in cannabis, right? And externally, but I think it's so important for us to know and hear, you know, what our team is doing and what our staff is doing to look at some of these issues internally that will help us internally, but also externally. So,
Yeah.
So up to you, Sean. Do you want to address that now? You want we'll put it on the agenda for next month, or you want to just give a high level and we can go into more detail next month? Your call.
I think both are fine. I'm conversational on it and certainly happy to answer the question now.
I'll just do a
And so
high
I
level,
think-
wouldn't mind now, and then we can get
Of
into
course.
detail next month.
That makes sense. I think, so as referenced here in this slide, the Access and Equity Work Group. So I guess taking the step back from this, we're the beneficiary of a really talented and I think a really passionate staff that by and large came here to work on mission related things that regardless of your role, what has been our biggest recruitment tool is our mission. And we've been the beneficiary of that, that interest in our work. And obviously folks have come here to pursue that. We want to give them every opportunity to participate. And so finding a way to kind of harness that and focus it is knowing that we have departments and trying to create these kind of islands of work. How do we collaborate across different departments and make projects work for the entirety of the agency and focus that work? And it's twofold though. And I've always described our equity mission as being both inward and outward. We're an agency that has this dual purpose. We have to pursue an equity mission in the industry that we oversee and regulate, but we also have to live up to expectations internally as an agency, as an employer. And so that's the kind of the breakup of the two groups, one being the commission voices. What are we doing? What can we do as an employer? And then secondly is this access and equity group. What should we be thinking about and pursuing as policies externally for the industry and the individuals that are made up or comprise it? Or frankly, in using the SEP as a good example, folks that may not be in the industry, but can tangentially touch the industry. So that through that kind of that ancillary component. So the DEI work groups themselves are comprised of staff, our staff here at the agency. It's an all volunteer group, and it's kind of a diverse makeup of departments and interests. And so you don't need to be in our enforcement team or our licensing team to think about the industry and regulations. You can be in our research team, you can be in HR, you can be on our equity team. And the same is true for commission voices internally. It doesn't need to be an HR function. It's an agency-wide. You could be in the communications team, you could be in the legal team and have that opportunity as well. You could also be in investigations or enforcement or licensing. And so by and large, I want to say it's probably 5 to 7 or so staff on each working group, all volunteer. And we put out a call, I guess don't hold me to the date, but it feels like about a year ago, maybe a little bit longer, to get folks to volunteer for it and step forward and say, I'd like to contribute. And they've been meeting with some regularity. I think one of the challenges is what is the right project to tackle and giving them enough space and freedom to self-select that, but with enough guidance and direction that it's not just a mystery to them. And so I think, frankly, this DIA study is a perfect example of when this came up last year and we had some discussions about where do we go next. This work group was the perfect fit to ask that question, to impose it to. Commission voices is one of those items that we need to, the internal working group, return to work is a really good example. What are we going to do? What's our plan? And how do we make sure that we're thoughtful about it? So that's how we try to utilize those groups and also let them speak to us as well. And I say us, it's kind of I'll just refer to leadership here at the agency or management here at the agency. So I don't sit on any of the groups. I don't direct their work either.
So let's I know Commissioner Roy has a question, but let's take this question and then move on. We can get back into this in more detail next month. But go ahead, Commissioner Roy.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Executive Director, for this slide. There's one bullet that I don't see. I'm just curious about is We all participated in, I believe it was last month, the DIA stakeholder meetings. I think they were broken up geographically. And I found it really compelling, the meeting I participated in, along with their comments and recommendations. And I was just curious how that will be incorporated. And will the commissioners have access to some of those other groups that we didn't participate in those comments and recommendations?
Yes, is the short answer. Yes, absolutely. And the reason it's not here is my error, ultimately, or my oversight. Those stakeholder meetings were incredibly productive, and again, actually, and frankly, hosted by or sponsored by the Access and Equity Work Group and a lot of the stakeholders were identified either by commissioners or that work group. And so those contributions, that feedback, that input will absolutely be incorporated into any final recommendations offered by the Access and Equity Work Group. And so that would be included in that kind of total package that we'd want to give you as you weigh what next steps could be. And also is not just posing, our intention is not to pose to the commission questions of what do you want to do, but instead offer you some recommendations as well as to what you could do. And again, that stakeholder feedback will be really valuable for focusing that work too.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Sean, let's keep moving if we could, please.
Sure. So another normal slide here is a returning slide is our hiring update. As you can see, we've been pretty busy and we continue to be busy. We onboarded a constituent services manager at the end of February, the 28th, which does build out our constituent services team and adds that layer of management and structure that we've been looking for there. We are in the final candidate stage of identifying additional associate enforcement counsel, as well as 2 project coordinators for our equity program and community outreach team, and continuing to build out that group under Kevin Sibley's leadership. We are screening and interviewing for 3 positions you can see here: budget director, the manager of government affairs and policy, as well as the multimedia content producer. We have this list, 1 position is having been posted, which is the project manager in investigations and enforcement. We also have 2 other positions that were just posted yesterday, so I want to call your attention to those as well. Which is the project coordinator for investigations and management. So you have the project manager, there'll be a coordinator as well, and then a data manager to fall under our IT team. So the project manager for I&E will close on the 18th of March. The project coordinator will close on the 31st of March, and the data manager will close on the 31st of March. Anyone that's interested in any one of those 3 positions, I would encourage you to visit our website, start there. You can see a quick description. And then apply either through email or through the Mass Careers page and just follow the instructions there. But any positions that we have open or posted are always going to be listed on our website, so folks should use that as a timely and reliable resource. So. This is a new slide, but I think an important one to just call the Commission's attention to. We are often soliciting help and resources and assistance with various projects, those things that we're looking for vendors to help us in some of our work. So the 3 I want to show you here is, 1 is an RFR for outreach activities. This is really how do we expand and broaden our perspective as far as the outreach we conduct here at the agency. We also reissued an RFR for external research. This is to support Dr. Johnson and our research team as far as how do we get some external folks to evaluate and serve as kind of a sounding board for our research team. And then an RFQ that was posted, which is due the 21st of March for social equity program multimedia outreach as well. So from time to time, we'll bring this slide and update it to the Commission as far as our procurement activity. I wanted to, again, just call your attention to it. All of this is available through the state's procurement website, Combis. So.
Thank you.
And the last item, certainly not least, is an update to the Commission on a topic that's been considered in the past and has been a project that our General Counsel, Christine Bailey, and myself have taken on as far as thinking about what a regulatory process here for the agency could and should look like. We continue to meet with each of you as commissioners, as well as wanting to engage our staff a bit more to discuss the regulatory process. Well, those conversations have included is a perspective on the rounds of regulations that we've done historically, and there have been several, and the processes that we followed for them, as well as to garner any insight or guidance you may have for us as far as your preferences, your your desires for any regulatory ground and how we can kind of meld and merge the two there. Our intention, therefore, is to return to the commission for further discussion and to provide some options and discussion and for the next meeting, the month of April. So wanted to provide you that update, knowing that that was a commitment we made maybe a number of months ago now, that we would go to the commission and seek your input, and wanted to report out that that is something that is still very live and something we're doing actively. So again, I'm happy to take any questions you may have.
I just want to thank you and General Counsel Bailey, as well as the other staff that's involved in this. Thanks for your support of this. It's very important. I'm looking forward to your recommendations in April. Anything else in your report, Mr. Executive Director?
This is the last slide I have. I just wanted to provide you an update on our revenue year to date, just as it's a hot off the press number that I think is just, I referenced our budget advocacy not too long ago, and the importance of that for me is that we continue to be a revenue generator here in the Commonwealth. And fiscal year to date, so fiscal 22 year to date, our non-tax revenue is $17.8 million, which that number already surpasses the FY20 number of non-tax revenue. So we're well on our way. As you may recall, FY21 was about $25 million, and our expectation is that we're well on our way toward that as well. So we're in good shape there. As far as tax revenue,
that 17.8 million was through when, Sean? Year to date through what date?
I believe it's the end of February, non-tax revenue.
Thanks.
And this tax revenue number is through January of 2022. It's a DOR reported number, is $145 million. And again, the FY20 was about 81 million. FY21 was about $176 million. So we're on our way. We've already passed FY20. We will more than likely pass FY21. So all in, it's about $163 million.
Okay. That's
non-tax combined with tax, fiscal year 22. And as a reminder, our budget request is about $20 million. So just helpful perspective, I hope.
Thank you. Are there any other questions for the Executive Director before we let him go back to his day job?
Just more of a comment. Sean, that information you just gave us is really good. I would just suggest if you do that next time, can you put it up on a slide?
I will do my best. It's a matter of, this is a live reporting data, so I want to make it as relevant or timely as possible, but your point is well taken. For
the visual folks.
Understood.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions for we'll let Sean go? Okay, well then, Sean, thank you as always for that informative report and for all the work that goes behind it. Really appreciate it. And Sid, let's let you go back to your day job.
Thank you, Sean.
We are now in the licensing part of our agenda. What I'm going to suggest, it's just after 11 o'clock. If we can get through the changes of ownership, renewals, and final, we'll take a break, and then we'll come back and do renewals after the break. So why don't we get started, starting with changes of ownership. Looks like you're back again with us.
I'm here, Mr. Chairman.
Well, welcome. Welcome again. I always view it as a plus when you return from 1 month to the next. So thank you for that.
Likewise.
Okay, so let's start with changes of ownership. Let's start with an overview from staff, and then we're going to have to break this down into a couple of different pieces. So let's start with the staff recommendation on change of ownership, please.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Today there are 7 proposed changes of ownership for the Commission's consideration. And Commission staff do recommend review and decision on the proposed changes of ownership for you today. If you'd like, I can start with the first one.
Yeah, we're going to do this. Let me just think for a second. We're going to do this. We always do this one by one. So yeah, why don't we go ahead and do before you do that? Excuse me. I'm sorry. Commissioner Roy has a request for a blanket condition across all of the changes of ownership. So let me read that, and that will be included in my motion for approval. So the requested condition, blanket condition for all changes of ownership, is, quote, to help ensure compliance with 500.1045 and 501.1045, it is required that an update be provided to the Commission within 5 days of any changes, modifications, or implementation issues by new ownership of prior ownership's Commission-approved diversity plan and/or positive impact plan, including but not limited to goals, programs, measurements, and accountability. Commissioner Roy, you have anything that you wish to add to that requested blanket condition, or any questions for Commissioner Roy on that?
I'm good. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Good. Thank you. So as we go through this, when I ask for a motion, it will be a motion including the additional condition requested as a blanket condition by Commissioner Roy. So let's go ahead then, back to you, East Boston Bloom LLC.
Yep, the licensee here is East Boston Bloom LLC. They're seeking a change of ownership and control of 1 adult use license and requesting to add 8 individuals and 3 entities. Additional information is contained within the executive summary for the Commission's review and consideration. Therefore, Commission staff do recommend review and decision on this request, and if approved, do request your approval be subject to the conditions before you.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions, comments, or requests for additional conditions other than the blanket condition requested by Commissioner Roy? Then could I ask Commissioner Camargo, would you please make a motion to approve the staff recommendation and change of ownership for East Boston Bloom LLC, subject to the additional condition requested by Commissioner Roy?
So moved.
Thank you. Commissioner Concepcion, could I ask you to second that motion, please?
Second.
Thank you. Let the record show that Commissioner Camargo made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner Concepcion. Commissioner Camargo, your vote, please.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Concepcion.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Roy.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Stebbins.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Hoffman, aye. Let the record show that the Commission approved the motion by a vote of 5 in favor. Commissioners Camargo, Concepcion, Roy, Stebbins, and Hoffman with none opposed. Thank you. Next up, Hennep Cultivation Llc.
Yep, the licensee here is Hennep Cultivation Llc. They're seeking a change of ownership and control of 2 adult use licenses and are requesting to add 2 individuals and 2 entities. Additional information is contained within the executive summary for the Commission's review and consideration, and therefore Commission staff do recommend review and decision on this request. And if approved, do request your approval be subject to the conditions before you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Are there any questions, comments, or requests for additional conditions other than the condition already requested by Commissioner Roy as a blanket condition? Then could I ask Commissioner Concepcion, would you please make a motion to approve the staff recommendation on change of ownership for Hennep Cultivation Llc, subject to the additional condition requested by Commissioner Roy?
So moved.
Thank you. Commissioner Roy, could I ask you to second that motion, please?
Second.
Thank you. Let the record show that the motion was made by Commissioner Concepcion and seconded by Commissioner Roy. Commissioner Camargo, your vote, please.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Concepcion.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Roy.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Stebbins.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Hoffman. Aye. Let the record show that the motion was approved by a vote of 5 in favor. Commissioners Camargo, Concepcion, Roy, Stebbins, and Hoffman with none opposed. Thank you. Next up is In Good Health Incorporated.
Yep, the licensee here is In Good Health Incorporated. They're seeking a change of ownership and control of 3 adult use licenses and 2 medical licenses. And they're requesting to add 2 individuals and 2 entities. Additional information is contained within the executive summary for the Commission's review and consideration. And therefore, Commission staff do recommend review and decision on this request. And if approved, do request your approval be subject to the conditions before you.
Okay, thank you very much. Are there questions, comments, or requests for additional conditions other than the blanket condition requested by Commissioner Roy? Then Commissioner Roy, could I ask you to make a motion, please, to approve the staff recommendation on change of ownership for In Good Health Incorporated, subject to the additional condition requested by Commissioner Roy?
So moved.
Thank you. Commissioner Stebbins, could I ask you to second that motion, please?
Second.
Thank you. Let the record show the motion was made by Commissioner Roy, seconded by Commissioner Stebbins. Commissioner Camargo, your vote, please.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Concepcion.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Roy.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Stebbins.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Hoffman, aye. Let the record show the motion was approved by a vote of 5 in favor. Commissioners Camargo, Concepcion, Roy, Stebbins, and Hoffman with none opposed. Thank you very much. Next up is Mello Fellows Llc.
Yep, the licensee here is Mello Fellows Llc. They're seeking a change of ownership and control of 1 adult use license and are requesting to add 2 individuals and 1 entity. Additional information is contained within the executive summary for the Commission's review and consideration. And therefore, Commission staff do recommend a review and decision on this request. And if approved, do request your approval be subject to the conditions before you.
Thank you very much. Are there comments, questions, or requests for additional conditions on this license other than the blanket condition requested by Commissioner Roy? Go ahead, Commissioner Stebbins.
Sure. Noticing the entity that is involved in this change of ownership, are they the similar entity that is also involved with the previous ownership change? Okay.
Yeah, I believe it. I'm sorry, Derek, am I correct? But that is the case?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, that's correct.
Thank you. But I went through your materials. It's very clear that even though that both they're related entities, that collectively there is no, they are not over our cap limits on ownership.
That's also correct. Yes, as far as enforcement is aware, there is currently no reason that they should not be heard for this change of ownership today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Commissioner Stebbins, other questions or comments? Are you okay with that?
Oh, I am. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay. Then could I ask, please? Let's say we're. I just let me make sure my notes are right. We're on native. We're on Mello Fellows, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Thank you. That's what I thought. So, can I ask Commissioner Stebbins? Would you please make a motion to approve the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Mello Fellows Llc, subject to the additional condition requested by Commissioner Roy?
So moved.
Thank you, Commissioner Camargo. Could I ask you to second that motion, please?
Second.
Thank you. Let the record show that the motion was made by Commissioner Stebbins, seconded by Commissioner Camargo. Commissioner Camargo, your vote, please.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Concepcion.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Roy.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Stebbins.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Hoffman, aye. Let the record show that the commission approved the motion by a vote of 5 in favor. Commissioners Camargo, Concepcion, Roy, Stebbins, and Hoffman with none opposed. Thank you. Next up is Native Sun Manufacturing Llc.
Yep, the licensee. Yep, sorry, the licensee here is Native Sun Manufacturing Llc. They're seeking a change of ownership and control of 2 adult use licenses and requesting to add 8 individuals and 4 entities. Additional information is contained within the executive summary for the commission's review and consideration. Therefore, commission staff do recommend review and decision on this request, and if approved, do request your approval be subject to the conditions before you.
Thank you very much. And if I'm correct, this entity is related to East Boston Bloom LLC. Is that correct?
Actually unsure on that. I could defer that question to the director of licensing.
No, I think it's fine because at least in my review, it's very clear that even as even as a related entity, they're not in violation of our cap requirements. So I just wanted to be clear about that. No problem. Thank you.
Sure.
Are there questions or comments or requests for additional conditions other than the blanket condition requested by Commissioner Roy on this license or on this change of ownership? Excuse me. Then could I ask Commissioner Camargo, please, would you make a motion, please, to approve the staff recommendation on change of ownership for Native Sun Manufacturing Llc?
So moved.
Thank you. Commissioner Concepcion, would you second that motion, please?
Second.
Thank you. Let's make sure that Commissioner Camargo made the motion, seconded by Commissioner Concepcion. Commissioner Camargo, your vote, please.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Concepcion.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Roy.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Stebbins.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Hoffman, aye. Let the record show that the motion was approved by a vote of 5 in favor. Commissioners Camargo, Concepcion, Roy, Stebbins, and Hoffman with none opposed. Next up is Silver Therapeutics Incorporated. Before you start, though, please, I know that Commissioners Camargo and Concepcion have both requested being recused from this vote. So could you both turn your camera off? Thank you. Please go ahead, Derek.
Yep, the licensee here is Silver Therapeutics Incorporated. They're seeking a change of ownership and control of 3 adult use licenses and are requesting to add 9 individuals and 7 entities. Additional information is contained within the executive summary for the commission's review and consideration. Therefore, commission staff do recommend review and decision on this request, and if approved, do request your approval be subject to the conditions before you.
Thank you very much, Derek. Are there any questions or comments on this change of ownership or request for additional conditions other than the blanket condition requested by Commissioner Roy? Okay, then Commissioner Roy, could you make a motion, please, to approve the staff recommendation on change of ownership for Silver Therapeutics Incorporated, subject to the additional condition requested by Commissioner Roy?
So moved.
Thank you. Commissioner Stebbins, would you second that motion, please?
Second.
Thank you. Let the record show that Commissioner Roy made the motion, seconded by Commissioner Stebbins. Commissioner Roy, your vote, please.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Stebbins.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Hoffman, aye. Let the record show the motion was approved by a vote of 3 in favor. Commissioners Roy, Stebbins, and Hoffman, with Commissioners Camargo and Concepcion recused. Thank you very much. Commissioners Camargo and Concepcion, if you could rejoin us, please. Thank you. Okay, welcome back. Next up, Derek, and the last that we have for today, Which City Gardens LLC?
Yep, the licensee here is Which City Gardens LLC. They're seeking a change of ownership and control of one adult use license and requesting to add one individual. Additional information is contained within the executive summary for the Commission's review and consideration. Therefore, Commission staff do recommend review and decision on this request, and if approved, do request your approval be subject to the conditions before you.
Thank you very much. Are there questions, comments, or requests for additional conditions other than the blanket condition requested by Commissioner Roy? Then Commissioner Concepcion, could you please make a motion to approve the staff recommendation on change of ownership for Which City Gardens LLC, subject to the additional condition requested by Commissioner Roy?
So moved.
Thank you. Commissioner Roy, would you second that motion, please?
Second.
Thank you. Let's make sure that the motion was made by Commissioner Concepcion, seconded by Commissioner Roy. Commissioner Camargo, your vote, please.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Concepcion.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Roy.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Stebbins.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Hoffman, aye. Let's make sure the motion was approved by a vote of 5 in favor. Commissioners Camargo, Concepcion, Roy, Stebbins, and Hoffman with none opposed. Thank you. Derek, are there any other changes of ownership for commission consideration today?
Not today.
Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate that. Okay, next up is renewals, and this will be a little bit complicated, but let's before we get started, I know that Commissioner Camargo has asked to make some opening comments with respect to renewals, so please go ahead, Commissioner Camargo.
Chairman, I need a 2-minute restroom break before we start.
That's fine. Why don't we do a little bit more? So it's 11:15. Let's take a 10-minute break. So we'll reconvene at 11:25. Does that work for everybody?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, so we are in recess until 11:25 a.m. Okay, just waiting for Commissioner Roy.
We all needed a quick break.
No, that's fine. I was trying to power through everything up to provisionals, but that's fine, no problem. Welcome back, Commissioner Roy. We've got
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
a couple more seconds. Okay, it's 11:25. Derek, are you back with us?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Welcome back, and we're back in session at 11:25 a.m. The next topic are our staff recommendations on renewals. Before I ask Derek for a summary, Commissioner Camargo has asked for an opportunity to make some opening comments. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Chairman. Let me just get my notes. Okay. So thank you. I have a few comments, so bear with me. First of all, I just want to say that I've been reviewing renewals for a year now. I will continue to stay committed to them because it allows us to see the equity mandate come to life. So from provisional license, the stage where folks go through in the beginning to when the licensees renew applications, renewals really allow us to see what folks have done for our positive impact plans and our diversity plans. So I just want to say the same way that our security plans and the diversion plans are in place, they're not going anywhere, and neither is the equity mandate. So I want folks to really take them seriously. Get your renewal applications in on time and say to yourselves or your employees, what are we doing to promote and encourage equity and full participation in the cannabis industry among people from communities that have been disproportionately harmed by past marijuana prohibition laws? To the licensee in this process right now, I've said it before, just don't wait. And if you have any questions, just reach out to our teams, our team members, they will help you. I also want to give a quick shout out to our staff. Just so folks know behind the scenes, every month I meet with our renewal team and ask them questions. They're looking at these renewals very thorough, but also I'm asking the hard questions in terms of their impact on the positive impact plans and the diversity plan. So thank you to Annie and Marla and Sarah and Jamie who joined me a few days ago to just help me and guide me through the renewal. So I just want to say thank you. So really quickly, a couple more comments, Chairman. I just want to give some shout outs, and I think this is really important because folks are doing the work and I want folks to know that. Canna Provisions, they have an excellent renewal format that they turned in. It's so simple to read. Go up top, outcomes in red. Canna Provisions, it's not a public document right now. If you feel like sharing it with folks in the community, please do. I think it's an excellent format to allow us as staff members and also commissioners to sort of just get to the point in terms of your accomplishments. CTDW. Kudos on your community donations to ensure to all the work that you're doing on for communities that have been disproportionately impacted. And I know that they did several donations, so I just want to say kudos to that. Eagle Eyes Transportation, they've exceeded their hiring goals within 18-month time frame. They had about a goal of 24 months. They exceeded it in 18. Also, kudos for their donation to the Families for Justice and Healing, a local nonprofit dedicated to supporting incarcerated women and formerly incarcerated women and girls here in Massachusetts. Quickly, Freshly Baked, kudos to you. You have created an amazing diversity tool that you included in your renewal application to be able to talk about your diversity plan success. And again, I know you guys are very active in the community. I would hope that you can share that template with other folks in the industry that may reach out to you on that template. So kudos to you on developing that tool. Green Biz LLC, kudos on your pivoting throughout the pandemic. You had one thing on your positive impact plan. You knew you guys couldn't make that happen. So you pivoted and you made some donations to local schools. So congratulations on that. Also, your diversity numbers, 24 of your 31 employees are from disproportionately impacted areas. So thank you for making the effort to make that happen. Local roots, 50% of your women are in upper management positions out of 88 employees. So kudos. Also, your continuous support to the artistic community. I know that you all reach out to local artists and have their work at your companies or your dispensaries or where you're posting it up. So thank you so much for that. Sometimes we forget about our local artists, so thank you. Nova Farms, kudos on your diversity plan. Numbers, 41% female in your company out of 60 employees. So not bad. I think that's a really good percentage. And also thank you for donating to the Louis D. Brown Peace Institute's re-entry programs. And the Louis D. Brown Peace Institute is a local organization that is helping incarcerated individuals return to their communities. The reentry portion, that organization does a lot of other work in Massachusetts to help families who have lost loved ones to homicide. I also wanted to bring to the attention, in this batch of renewals, 27 renewals have commenced operations. And in those 27 licenses that have commenced operations, a total of $380,000 has been donated to communities that have been disproportionately impacted, to organizations within those communities. So I want folks to start understanding the type of funding that's going back into our disproportionately impacted communities. And just in this one, like I said, there's $380,000 altogether within this batch that have gone back. So I think that's a really big deal. I wanted to share that. And I think the last thing is just, I hope folks are taking renewal seriously, and I hope people continue to take their positive impact plans and their diversity plans as serious as their security plans. So Chairman, thank you for indulging me in my renewals.
No, thank you, Commissioner. And, at the risk of repeating myself, thank you so much for your leadership on this topic, in this very important topic. I think you brought a lot of appropriate attention to this, so thank you. Derek, do you have some summary comments before we start going into these? I'm going to have to break it up into a few different tranches, but before I do so, any summary comments, Derek?
Certainly, just a broad overview here. Today we have 54 license renewal recommendations for the Commission's consideration, which does include 7 medical marijuana treatment center renewals. And therefore, Commission staff would recommend review and decision on the renewal applications before you. And if approved, request that the approval be subject to the licensee remaining in compliance with the Commission regulations and applicable law.
Thank you, Derek. So we have historically treated this renewals as a roster, and we'll do so, but I have to pull a few of them out of the roster. So let me start with those, and then we'll review the remainder of the roster. The first I'd like to pull out from the roster is MCTDW LLC, where Commissioner Camargo has asked for an additional condition on this renewal, and I'll read it. Within the next 90 days, licensee shall provide notification to the Cannabis Control Commission on how a donation to the Salem South Coast Watch nonprofit organization promotes and encourages full participation in the regulated cannabis industry by individuals from communities disproportionately harmed by cannabis prohibition and enforcement, and to positively impact those communities under MGL Chapter 94G, Chapter 4, Section 4 in Massachusetts. Are there any other questions or comments on this before I ask for a motion? Then Commissioner Camargo, could I ask you please to make a motion to approve the staff recommendation on renewal for CTDW LLC, subject to the additional condition requested by Commissioner Camargo?
So moved.
Thank you. Commissioner Concepcion, would you second that motion, please?
Second.
Thank you. Let the record show that Commissioner Camargo made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner Concepcion. Commissioner Camargo, your vote, please.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Concepcion.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Roy.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Stebbins.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Hoffman, aye. Let the record show that the motion was approved by a vote of 5 in favor. Commissioners Camargo, Concepcion, Roy, Stebbins, and Hoffman, with none opposed. The next renewal application I would like to pull out for individual consideration is X, Hudson Botanical Processing LLC. On this, again, Commissioner Camargo has asked for actually 3 additional conditions. First, within the next 90 days, licensee shall resubmit an updated positive impact plan to include their plan for the upcoming year that promotes and encourages full participation in the regulated cannabis industry by individuals from communities disproportionately harmed by cannabis prohibition and enforcement, and to positively impact those communities under MGL Chapter 94G, Sections 4 in Massachusetts. Second, licensee to include an additional goal for their updated positive impact plan. And third, licensee to clarify who's volunteering and what is the frequency of their volunteer time. Are there any other comments or questions on this renewal application? Then could I ask Commissioner Concepcion, could you please make a motion to approve the staff recommendation on renewal for Hudson Botanical Processing LLC, subject to the additional condition requested by Commissioner Camargo?
So moved.
Thank you. Commissioner Roy, would you second that motion, please?
Second.
Thank you. Let the record show that Commissioner Concepcion made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner Roy. Commissioner Camargo, your vote, please.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Concepcion.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Roy.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Stebbins.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Hoffman, aye. Commissioner Stebbins, I don't know, there's something going on with your microphone. I can barely hear you.
Oh, is that better?
That is. Thank you. Appreciate it. Commissioner Hoffman, aye. Let the record show that the motion was approved by a vote of 5 in favor. Commissioners Camargo, Concepcion, Roy, Stebbins, and Hoffman, with none opposed. The next individual renewal application I'd like to pull out for individual consideration is Z&T Incorporated. And again, Commissioner Camargo has requested additional conditions on this renewal. Specifically, within the next 90 days, licensee shall resubmit an updated positive impact plan to include their plan for the upcoming year that promotes and encourages full participation in the regulated cannabis industry by individuals from communities disproportionately harmed by cannabis prohibition and enforcement, and to positively impact those communities under MGL Chapter 94G, Section 4 in Massachusetts. Second condition, additional condition, is licensee to include an additional goal for their updated positive impact plan besides beach cleanups that were not accomplished due to weather conditions. Are there any other comments or questions on this application or request for additional conditions? Then Commissioner Roy, could I ask you please to make a motion to approve the staff recommendation on renewal for Z&T Incorporated, subject to the additional conditions requested by Commissioner Camargo?
So moved.
Thank you. Commissioner Stebbins, could I ask you to second that motion, please?
Second.
Thank you. Let the record show that Commissioner Roy made the motion, seconded by Commissioner Stebbins. Commissioner Camargo, your vote, please.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Concepcion.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Roy.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Stebbins.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Hoffman, aye. Let the record show that the motion was approved by a vote of 5 in favor. Commissioners Camargo, Concepcion, Roy, Stebbins, and Hoffman, with none opposed. Thank you. I would like to now ask the commission to consider the remaining adult use renewals on this roster. And so to be specific, on the agenda slides, this would include A through L, N through W, and Y through double T. All of those will be considered as one roster. Are there questions or comments before I ask for a motion? Then Commissioner Stebbins, would you please make a motion to approve the staff recommendation on renewals for the roster that I just articulated?
So moved.
Thank you. Commissioner Camargo, would you second that, please?
Second. Thank
you. Let the record show that Commissioner Stebbins made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner Camargo. Commissioner Camargo, your vote, please.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Concepcion.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Roy.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Stebbins.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Hoffman, aye. Let the record show that the motion was approved by a vote of 5 in favor. Commissioners Camargo, Concepcion, Roy, Stebbins, and Hoffman, with none opposed. The final renewal roster that I would ask the commission to consider are the medical renewals on this agenda item. If we go to the next slide, please. Thank you. Double V through triple B. Those are the the medical renewals. Are there questions or comments before I ask for a motion? Then Commissioner Camargo, would you please make a motion to approve the staff recommendation on renewals for entities double V through triple B on this agenda?
I'm sorry. So moved, yes.
Yeah, no, you did good. You did good. Commissioner Concepcion, could you second that motion, please?
Second.
Thank you. Let the record show that Commissioner Camargo very effectively made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner Concepcion. Commissioner Camargo, your vote, please. Sorry?
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Concepcion.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Roy.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Stebbins.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Hoffman, aye. Let the record show that the motion was approved by 5 in favor. Commissioners Camargo, Concepcion, Roy, Stebbins, and Hoffman with none opposed. Mr. Chamberlain, is that it for renewals at this point?
Yes, it is, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you very much. Next up are final licenses. Again, we'll consider this as a roster. I have no requests from any commissioner to either recuse themselves or to add additional conditions, so this will be just one roster. Please go ahead, Mr. Chamberlain.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Today there are 14 final license recommendations for the Commission's consideration. Additionally, I'd like to note that this group of final licenses also includes 2 social equity participants, as well as the first 2 marijuana delivery operators to be heard for final licensure. Commission staff do therefore recommend review and decision on these final licenses, and if approved, do request your approval be subject to the conditions before you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chamberlain. Again, just to reemphasize what the executive director said in his section, while we, if we do approve final licenses for these 2 marijuana delivery operators, the clock does not start ticking until they commence operations. So I just wanted to make sure that is reinforced for the public. Are there any questions or comments or requests for conditions? Commissioner Roy.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to make a comment that a while back I started adding a blanket condition on all provisional licenses around RBT and basic core curriculum training. And the reason why I did that at the time was because on a data poll we found out licensees were only in 50% compliance. So I'm really happy to report today that certificates are coming in. So I want to thank our licensees from Apical Inc. and Kind Run, Massachusetts, who are before us today for their final license, and both have submitted their certificates for their RBT training. So the condition is starting to bear fruit, if you will, and I'm really happy. And someday I hope not to be able to have to do that. So thank you to those licenses.
I do have it in my notes for today's meeting that you would still like that blanket condition on provisional. So I
do, because we're not there yet. Until
that day has not arrived yet, is what you're saying, right?
Yeah, but it's starting to happen. So it's really great.
Okay, great. Thank you for that. Are there any other comments, questions, or requests for conditions on these before I ask for a vote on the entire roster of final licenses? Then, Commissioner, I think it's up to Commissioner Concepcion. Could you please make a motion to approve the staff recommendation on final licenses for this roster?
So moved.
Thank you. Commissioner Roy, would you second that motion, please?
Second.
Thank you. Let the record show that Commissioner Concepcion made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner Roy. Commissioner Camargo, your vote, please.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Concepcion.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Roy.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Stebbins.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Hoffman. Let the record show that the motion was approved by a vote of 5 in favor. Commissioners Camargo, Concepcion, Roy, Stebbins, and Hoffman with none opposed. So again, just to reemphasize, I'd like to offer my personal congratulations to Clovercraft LLC and to Kind Run Massachusetts LLC, the first 2 final licenses given to marijuana delivery operators. Again, there's work to be done before they open, but this is an important threshold that we just passed, and I want to congratulate those 2 entities and wish them the best of luck. Commissioner Camargo.
Yeah, I also want to congratulate you and the prior commissioners or the former commissioners who worked so hard and the community to bring this license to where it's at today. So congratulations to you, Chairman, and to our former commissioners who worked really hard to get this done. So congrats.
Thank you very much. That's very gracious of you. And on behalf of my fellow former commissioners, I thank you very much for those comments. Mr. Chairman, are there any other final licenses to be reviewed at this point in time?
Not this time, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you very much. Then we're on to renewals. So let's just do a time check. Are people willing to try to work all the way through this, or do we want to try to go part way and take a break? What are the sentiments of my fellow commissioners? As usual, this will take, my guess is 45 minutes to an hour. to go through this, given the number of provisionals we have and the number of conditions on that are being requested for those provisional licenses.
I'm going to go off your expert time estimation skills and say we get started, and we'll see where we wind up.
Okay, I think that's fair. Unless everybody else is okay with that. I mean, I will hold out that this is a little bit hard for me, just given the number of conditions. So if my brain cells start not cooperating, I might suggest we take a break in the middle. But let's get started. And let me start again by acknowledging what we were just talking about, which is Commissioner Roy has asked for a blanket condition on provisional licenses, which I will read. The blanket condition is specifically prior to performing job functions, all provisional licensees shall ensure that all current marijuana establishment, medical treatment center, and independent testing laboratory agents involved in the handling or sale of marijuana for adult and medical use shall have attended and successfully completed the basic core curriculum of the responsible vendor training program to be designated a responsible vendor and provide a certificate of completion to the commission upon request. In addition, all newly hired employees involved in the handling or sale of marijuana or marijuana products must also successfully complete the basic core curriculum of the responsible vendor training program within 90 days of hire in compliance with 935 CMR 500.1052 or 935 CMR 501.1052. So again, I will make reference to that requested condition on all of the provisional licenses. That being said, let's go ahead and start with the first provisional license, Derek, which is 876 Grow Incorporated, which is a micro business. It was an expedited application based upon both the type of business as well as the applicant being a social equity program participant. Please go ahead, Mr. Chamberlain.
Yep, the applicant here is 876 Grow Incorporated. The proposed location is 360 Race Street, located in Holyoke, Massachusetts. They're seeking a microbusiness license. This applicant received expedited review. Additional information is contained within the executive summary for the Commission's review and consideration, and therefore Commission staff do recommend the issuance of a provisional license subject to the conditions before you.
Thank you very much. Aside from Commissioner Roy's blanket condition, I have requests from Commissioner Roy, Stebbins, and Camargo for additional conditions on this license. So let me go through them. From Commissioner Roy, her requested additional condition is prior to final licensure, please inform the Commission of your additional operational plans for indoor and outdoor marijuana cultivators as it relates to quality control samples in accordance with 935 CMR 500.120. From Commissioner Camargo, her requested additional condition is as follows. Prior to final license, resubmit positive impact plan to include more than hiring that promotes and encourages full participation in the regulated cannabis industry by individuals from communities disproportionately harmed by cannabis prohibition and enforcement, and to positively impact those communities under MGL Chapter 94G, Section 4 in Massachusetts. And then from Commissioner Stebbins, if you just give me a second. His requested additional condition is prior to final application for licensure, identify any spending goals with veteran or disabled citizen-owned certified businesses. Are there any other comments, questions, or additional conditions requested on this license?
Chairman, I believe I had another condition on that for the.
Oh, I'm sorry. It might be on the next page. I truly apologize. Thank you very much for mentioning that. So yes, the second additional condition requested by Commissioner Camargo, specifically prior to final license, review and clarify diversity plan to make sure it can accomplish intended goals. The current version seems to be positive impact goals, and if needed, resubmit an updated diversity plan. Sorry for that, Commissioner Camargo.
Oh, good.
Are there any other questions, comments, or requests for additional conditions on this license? Okay, then I'd like to ask for a motion. We'll start again with Commissioner Camargo. I'd like to ask for a motion, please, to approve the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to 876 Grow Incorporated, subject to the additional conditions requested by Commissioners Roy, Stebbins, and Camargo. Commissioner Camargo, would you make such a motion, please?
So moved.
Thank you. Commissioner Concepcion, would you second that motion, please?
Second.
Thank you. Let's show that Commissioner Camargo made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner Concepcion. Commissioner Camargo, your vote, please.
Aye.
Thank you, Commissioner Concepcion.
Aye.
Thank you, Commissioner Roy.
Aye.
Thank you, Commissioner Stebbins.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Hoffman, aye. Let the record show that the commission approved the motion by a vote of 5 in favor. Commissioners Camargo, Concepcion, Roy, Stebbins, and Hoffman with none opposed. Thank you very much. Next up is ACT Laboratories of Massachusetts LLC, which is an independent testing laboratory and therefore expedited by type. Mr. Chamberlain, please go ahead.
The applicant here is ACT Laboratories of Massachusetts LLC. Proposed location is 131 John Fitch Highway, located in Fitchburg, Massachusetts. They're seeking an independent testing laboratory license, and this applicant received expedited review. Additional information is contained within the executive summary for the commission's review and consideration, and therefore commission staff do recommend the issuance of a provisional license subject to the conditions before you.
Thank you very much. I am not aware of any additional conditions being requested on this license. Are there questions, comments, or requests for additional conditions other than, again, the blanket condition requested by Commissioner Roy?
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Roy, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to give a shout out to ACT Laboratories, not only impacting a disproportionately impacted area, but the next generation of the youth by providing transportation, much needed, may I add, transportation after school to the Boys and Girls Club, and also providing educational and science experiments to these kids as well. So kudos for the creative thinking and giving back to our youth.
Okay, thank you very much. Again, appreciate that comment. Are there additional comments, questions, or requests for conditions on this license? Then could I ask Commissioner Concepcion, could you make a motion, please, to approve the staff recommendation issue a provisional license to ACT Laboratories of Massachusetts LLC, subject to the additional blanket condition requested by Commissioner Roy?
So moved.
Thank you. Commissioner Roy, would you second that motion, please?
Second.
Thank you. Let the record show that the motion was made by Commissioner Concepcion and seconded by Commissioner Roy. Commissioner Camargo, your vote, please.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Concepcion.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Roy.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Stebbins.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Hoffman, aye. Let the record show that the motion was approved by a vote of 5 in favor. Commissioners Camargo, Concepcion, Roy, Stebbins, and Hoffman with none opposed. Thank you very much. Next up, Mr. Chamberlain, Admiral Green Holdings Corp., which has an application both for a Tier 4 indoor cultivation as well as product manufacturing, both co-located. So please go ahead with both of those, please.
The applicant here is Admiral Green Holdings Corp. The proposed location is 58 Great Republic Drive, located in Gloucester, Massachusetts. They're seeking both cultivation and product manufacturing licenses, and this applicant received general review. Additional information is contained within the executive summary for the commission's review and consideration, and therefore commission staff do recommend the issuance of a provisional license subject to the conditions before you.
Thank you very much. In addition to the blanket condition request by Commissioner Roy, I have requests from both Commissioner Roy and Commissioner Camargo for conditions, and I believe they apply to both of these licenses. Is that correct, Commissioner Roy and Commissioner Camargo?
Yes.
Thank you. So again, let's start with consideration of the first application, Admiral Greens Holding Corp. Tier 4 indoor cultivation. The additional condition request by Commissioner Roy is as follows. Prior to final licensure, please inform the commission of your additional operational plans for indoor and outdoor marijuana cultivators and marijuana product manufacturers as it relates to quality control samples in accordance with 935 CMR 500.12014 and 500.130.9. For Commissioner Camargo, she has 2 additional conditions requested on the both of these licenses. First, prior to final license, applicant to review and clarify diversity plan goal 2 to include more than hiring as it relates to the information session. And then secondly, prior to final license, applicant to review outreach hiring strategy for goal 1 and 2 to accomplish targeted goal. So again, we'll, yes, go ahead, Commissioner Camargo.
Just to clarify, because
Did
staff.
I read that wrong?
No. Staff notified me to clarify for them on the second condition. It's
Yes.
for hold on, let me go to my condition. Give me 1 second. I'm sorry. So for the one that says prior to final license, applicant to review outreach hiring strategy for goal 1, 2 to accomplish target goal. That's for the positive impact plan.
Okay. So noted.
Thank you.
Okay, so again, we'll have separate votes on these 2 co-located applications, starting with the application for Tier 4 indoor cultivation. Are there additional conditions or questions other than the ones I've articulated? Okay, then I think if we could, let's move on to Commissioner Roy. Would you please make a motion to approve the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Admiral Green Holdings Corp. For Tier 4 indoor cultivation, subject to the additional conditions requested by Commissioners Roy and Camargo?
So moved.
Thank you. Commissioner Stebbins, would you second that motion, please?
Second.
Thank you. Let the record show that Commissioner Roy made the motion, seconded by Commissioner Stebbins. Commissioner Camargo, your vote, please.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Concepcion.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Roy.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Stebbins.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Hoffman, aye. Let the record show that the commission or the motion was approved by a vote of 5 in favor. Commissioners Camargo, Concepcion, Roy, Stebbins, and Hoffman with none opposed. Next up is the second application, application for, I'm very sorry about this. I think we might be the only people in the world that still have a landline, so my wife can take call. The next application, again, is the second co-located application for Admiral Green Holdings Corp. This one for product manufacturing. Can I have a motion, please, Commissioner Stebbins, to approve that the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license subject to the additional conditions requested by Commissioners Roy and Camargo?
So moved.
Thank you. Commissioner Camargo, would you second that motion, please? Thank you. Let the record show that Commissioner Stebbins made the motion, seconded by Commissioner Camargo. Commissioner Camargo, your vote, please.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Concepcion.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Roy.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Stebbins.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Hoffman, aye. Let the record show that the motion was approved by a vote of 5 in favor. Commissioners Camargo, Concepcion, Roy, Stebbins, and Hoffman with none opposed. Thank you. Next up, Mr. Chamberlain, we have Blue Sky Organics LLC, which is a marijuana delivery operator and by definition, therefore, is expedited given the applicant status as a social equity program participant. Please go ahead.
Yep, the applicant here is Blue Sky Organics LLC. The proposed location is 16 McGuire Court, located in Newton, Massachusetts. They're seeking a marijuana delivery operator license, and this applicant received expedited review. Additional information is contained within the executive summary for the Commission's review and consideration. Therefore, Commission staff do recommend the issuance of a provisional license subject to the conditions before you.
Thank you very much. I am aware of requests from, let's see, Commissioners Roy, Camargo, and Concepcion for additional conditions on this licensure. Let me go through them. From Commissioner Camargo, she has the following 3 additional conditions requested, starting with first, applicant to resubmit their positive impact plan to focus on a disproportionate impacted area under the positive impact plan guidance that promotes and encourages full participation in the regulated cannabis industry by individuals from communities disproportionately harmed by cannabis prohibition and enforcement, and to positively impact those communities under MGL Chapter 94G, Section 4 in Massachusetts. Second, applicant should review and clarify Goal 2 and how it relates to MGL 94G4. And third, applicant should review and clarify Program Number 2 and how it relates to MGL 94G4, specifically to the town of Newton, which is currently not a disproportionately impacted area under the Cannabis Control Commission. So that's Commissioner Camargo. Commissioner Concepcion has requested the following condition, which is submit a new positive impact plan that positively impacts people from communities that have previously been disproportionately harmed by marijuana prohibition and enforcement in accordance with 935 CMR 500.101(1A)11. And if you'll give me another second, let me get to Commissioner Roy's additional condition requested here. Commissioner Roy's additional condition is prior to final licensure in accordance with 935 CMR 146.5, please provide the commission with a copy of your consumer education. To ensure compliance, consumer educational materials shall include subsections A through J as listed in said regulation. Go ahead, Commissioner Roy.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to give a friendly reminder to all of our marijuana delivery operator friends moving forward that it is required for them to have consumer education and to be part of their dispensing plan. So I just want to let folks know I will be looking at that for all the marijuana delivery operators. So just to avoid a condition moving forward, just please have your consumer education as part of a 935 CMR 146 subsection 5 sections A through J in your dispensing plan. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other comments, questions, or requests for additional conditions on this license?
I have a comment. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Commissioner Camargo, I think, and then Commissioner Concepcion. Commissioner Camargo, please go ahead.
Commissioner Roy, can you educate us quickly on the dispense plan and the consumer piece?
Sure.
What is that?
Sure. As you know, as you probably know, retailers are required as part of the regulations to have readily available in different languages, consumer education about the different side effects, if you will, of cannabis, substance use hotlines, not to drive while impaired. There's sections A through J. That requirement is also for marijuana delivery operators, since they are not going physically into the retail location, and the operator is the direct to consumer base, if you will. So they need to have that consumer education readily available if asked by a consumer.
Got it. So like on the car,
Yes.
or whatever. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you for that. Thank you for clarifying that.
Yes.
Thanks. Commissioner Concepcion?
Mine was a comment on possibly consolidating my condition with Commissioner Camargo's, I believe her first. It sounds like there were some similarities there.
There was. I mean, if you'd like to, propose how we might, her first. Let me just look.
If not, we can just keep that.
I'll tell you what, it might be redundant, but I think it might be easier not to edit in real time. And so why don't we just leave both yours and Commissioner Camargo's conditions in, and then our staff can certainly work to the applicant to make sure that there's no redundancy there.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay. So back to Blue Sky Organics. Are there other questions, comments, or requests for additional conditions? Then I believe we are up to Commissioner Camargo again. Would you please make a motion, Commissioner Camargo, to approve staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Blue Sky Organics LLC, subject to the additional conditions requested by Commissioners Roy, Concepcion, and Camargo?
So moved.
Thank you. Commissioner Concepcion, would you second that motion, please?
Second.
Thank you. Let the record show that Commissioner Camargo made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner Concepcion. Commissioner Camargo, your vote, please.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Concepcion.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Roy.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Stebbins.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Hoffman. Aye. Let the record show that the motion was approved by a vote of 5 in favor. Commissioners Camargo, Concepcion, Roy, Stebbins, and Hoffman, with none opposed. Thank you very much. Next up, Mr. Chamberlain, are 2 co-located applications from C3 Brands LLC for Tier 2 indoor cultivation and product manufacturing. Please go ahead.
The applicant here is C3 Brands LLC. The proposed location is Lot 6E, R.W. Moore Drive, located in Orange, Massachusetts. They're seeking cultivation and product manufacturing licenses, and this applicant received general review. Additional information is contained within the executive summary for the Commission's review and consideration. And therefore, Commission staff do recommend the issuance of provisional license subject to the conditions before you.
Thank you. Commissioner, we'll have separate votes, but Commissioner Roy has requested an additional condition on both licenses. Specifically, prior to final licensure, please inform the Commission of your additional operational plans for indoor and outdoor marijuana cultivators and marijuana product manufacturers as it relates to quality control samples in accordance with 935 CMR 500.12014. And 50, you said 500-139. Is that correct? It's not 501.
Yeah, one cultivation, one product manufacturer.
Okay, great. I just want to make sure that there wasn't. Okay, that's fine. So let's take them individually. So first, can I ask, are there questions or comments on either of these 2 licenses or requests for additional conditions? Then could I ask Commissioner Concepcion, would you please make a motion to approve the first of these C3 Brand LLC license that is for Tier 2 indoor cultivation, subject to both the blanket condition requested by Commissioner Roy on all provisional licenses as well as the specific condition I just articulated. Would you make such a motion, please?
So moved.
Thank you. Commissioner Roy, would you second that motion, please?
Second.
Thank you. Let the record show that the motion was made by Commissioner Concepcion, seconded by Commissioner Roy. Commissioner Camargo, your vote, please.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Concepcion.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Roy.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Stebbins.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Hoffman, aye. Let the record show that the motion was approved by a vote of 5 in favor. Commissioners Camargo, Concepcion, Roy, Stebbins, and Hoffman, with none opposed. The next license I would ask the commission to consider is the second co-located C3 Brands LLC license, that is for product manufacturing. Again, subject to the both blanket condition requested by Commissioner Roy and the specific condition requested by Commissioner Roy. Are there any other requests for additional conditions on this license? Then Commissioner Roy, would you go ahead and please make a motion to approve the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to C3 Brands for product manufacturing, subject to the additional conditions requested by Commissioner Roy?
So moved.
Thank you. Commissioner Stebbins, would you second that motion, please?
Second.
Thank you. Let the record show that Commissioner Roy made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner Stebbins. Commissioner Stebbins, Commissioner Camargo, your vote, please.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Concepcion.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Roy.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Stebbins.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Hoffman, aye. Let the record show that the commission approved the motion by a vote of 5 in favor. Commissioners Camargo, Concepcion, Roy, Stebbins, and Hoffman with none opposed. Thank you. Next up, Mr. Chamberlain, is Capeway Cannabis LLC.
Yep, the applicant here is Capeway Cannabis LLC. The proposed location is 307 Tremont Street, located in Carver, Massachusetts. They're seeking a retail license, and this applicant received general review. Additional information is contained within the executive summary for the commission's review and consideration, and therefore commission staff do recommend the issuance of a provisional license subject to the conditions before you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chamberlain. In addition to the blanket condition requested by Commissioner Roy, I have a request also from Commissioner Roy for an additional condition on this license. Specifically, prior to final licensure and upon receiving a commence operations notice, applicant shall ensure full compliance with consumer educational materials requirements in accordance with 935 CMR 500.1406, namely bullet 7, by adding the telephone number for the Massachusetts Substance Abuse Health Line, or is it substance use headline or substance abuse?
Substance abuse.
Okay.
Substance. Yeah. Sorry. Substance use helpline. Yeah.
Yeah. No, there's a typo there. So again, namely bullet 7, by adding the telephone number for the Massachusetts Substance Abuse Helpline.
No. Substance use hotline.
Oh, it is a substance use hotline?
You just double check it in the reg. Yes.
Just that doesn't sound right. It sounds like the right word there, but I don't know what the name of the agency is. So
It is substance use.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Sorry about that. My confusion.
You scared me. You thought I had a typo.
I almost found it sinking your armor there.
But may I just add a comment
Please.
onto that, please?
Okay.
The reason I add this condition is because in the regulations, it says a list of number of substance use recovery centers, treatment centers, and not or, and the Massachusetts Substance Use Helpline. The helpline is the only statewide public resource for finding substance use treatment recovery. Helpline services are free and confidential, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And trained specialists will help individuals understand the treatment system and options. So to all of our retailers and delivery operators, please make sure you include this number in your consumer education. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Again, apologize for the confusion. Are there any additional questions, comments, or requests for additional conditions on this license application? Commissioner Camargo? Okay, then actually I'm going to call on you anyway, Commissioner Camargo. Would you please make a motion to approve the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Capeway Cannabis LLC, subject to the additional conditions requested by Commissioner Roy?
So moved.
Thank you. Commissioner Concepcion, would you second that motion, please?
Second.
Thank you. Let the record show that Commissioner Camargo made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner Concepcion. Commissioner Camargo, your vote, please.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Concepcion.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Roy.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Stebbins.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Hoffman, aye. Let the record show that the commission approved the motion by a vote of 5 in favor. Commissioners Camargo, Concepcion, Roy, Stebbins, and Hoffman with none opposed. Thank you. Next up is our 2 co-located applications for Coastal Hearing Incorporated for Tier 3 indoor cultivation and product manufacturing. Go ahead, please, Mr. Chamberlain.
The applicant here is Coastal Healing Incorporated. The proposed location is 248 State Road, located in Westport, Massachusetts. They're seeking a cultivation and product manufacturing license. This applicant received general review. Additional information is contained within the executive summary for the commission's review and consideration. And therefore, commission staff do recommend the issuance of a provisional license subject to the conditions before you.
Thank you very much. I have requests from Commissioners Roy and Stebbins for additional conditions, and can I just again double check that you intend those conditions to apply? Actually, I see that you have a separate condition, Commissioner Roy, for. It's only for. I'm sorry. It's only for tier 3 indoor cultivation that you're looking for a condition. Is that correct?
No, I apologize. It's actually for both.
Okay, for both. And Commissioner Stebbins, your condition is also applying to both.
Yes, it is.
Okay, thank you very much. So let's again start with the first, which is tier 3 indoor cultivation. Commissioner Stebbins' request for additional conditions is as follows. Prior to final application for licensure, verify internship program is targeted to individuals over the age of 21. Commissioner Roy, I believe, has 2 conditions. First, prior to final licensure, please inform the Commission of your additional operational plans for indoor and outdoor marijuana cultivators as it relates to quality control samples in accordance with 935 CMR 500.120. And then the second condition is prior to performing job functions at marijuana establishment, all paid interns as stated in goal number 1 of your positive impact plan must become registered agents in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts and provide agent registration card to Commission upon request pursuant to 935 CMR 500.030. Go ahead, Commissioner Roy.
My apologies for clarification.
Yeah.
The first one can only be applied to the
Yeah,
cultivation.
no, I just, as I was reading it,
Yes, so my apologies on that, but the second one, it can be applied to both because they're doing the internship at both. And I just want to also give them a shout out actually too for their advertising efforts in the American Legion towards meeting their goals with veterans. And also they were the only cultivators and all the provisional licenses we're going through today to have listed their quality control samples is in regards to cultivation. So I guess I can remove that first condition now that I say that. So strike my first condition. Sorry. Strike it from the record. So I want to give them a shout out because they're the only cultivation to have that out of all of them today. So, but
we're striking your first condition and your second condition, however, still
yes, applies to both because they're both doing the paid internship. Yes. Thank you.
Okay, whoever is taking notes on this, Christopher, and
I totally muddied the water. Sorry.
Good luck to all of you. I think it might take a little, at our next meeting when we're reviewing minutes from this meeting, we might take a little longer than we usually do. But
yeah.
Chairman, just clarify what we're going to vote on.
let's. I'm getting there. I'm getting there.
Sorry,
you all lost me.
I will be very explicit about what we're voting on. So what we're gonna do first is the first of the 2 coastal healing incorporated applications, which is tier 3 indoor cultivation. The conditions that have been requested are the blanket condition requested by Commissioner Roy on all provisional applications.
Yep.
Commissioner Stebbins' request for a condition, and again, I'll just read it again just so that there's no confusion. Prior to final application for licensure, verify internship program is targeted to individuals over the age of 21. And then Commissioner Roy, in addition to her blanket condition, is requesting the following additional conditions, specifically prior to performing job functions at marijuana establishment, all paid interns as stated in goal number 1 of your positive impact plan must become registered agents in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts and provide agent registration card to the Commission upon request.
Got it.
Pursuant to 935 CMR 500.030. So let me just be very explicit on this application. The conditions that are being requested in addition, and the additional conditions are the blanket condition requested by Commissioner Roy, the condition that Commissioner Roy requested I just read with respect to agent registration, and the condition requested by Commissioner Stebbins with respect to verifying that the internship program is targeted to individuals over the age of 21. Okay, is that clear? And is it, well, I have 2 questions. Is it clear and is it correct?
It is correct, Mr. Chairman, on my end. Yes.
Great, thank you. And as we just went through that, I have no idea whose turn it is to make the motion, so I'm just going to go back to the beginning and ask Commissioner Camargo, would you please make a motion to approve the staff recommendation to issue an additional condition or issue a provisional license to Coastal Healing Incorporated for tier 3 indoor cultivation subject to the additional conditions requested by Commissioners Roy and Stebbins.
I'm enthusiastically saying so moved.
Thank you very much, and I am enthusiastically thanking you for that. I think we're going to need to take a break. It's starting to get a little punchy here. Maybe just me. Thank you. Commissioner Concepcion, would you second that motion, please?
Second the motion and the break.
Okay. I think we've made it. We made an executive decision here. Let the record show that Commissioner Camargo made the motion, seconded by Commissioner Concepcion. Commissioner Camargo, your vote, please.
Aye.
Thank you, Commissioner Concepcion.
Aye.
Thank you, Commissioner Roy.
Aye.
Thank you, Commissioner Stebbins.
Aye.
Thank you, Commissioner Hoffman. Aye. Let the record show the motion was approved by a vote of 5 in favor. Commissioners Camargo, Concepcion, Roy, Stebbins, and Hoffman, with none opposed. Let's get through the second coastal healing, and then we'll take a break. Okay. So next up for commission consideration is the second of the coastal healing applications. This one for product manufacturing. Again, are there requests for additional conditions or comments on this application? Then I'd like Commissioner Concepcion, would you please make a motion to approve the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Coastal Healing Incorporated for product manufacturing, subject to the additional conditions requested by Commissioners Roy and Stebbins?
So moved.
Thank you. Commissioner Roy, would you second that motion, please?
Second.
Thank you. Sure that Commissioner Concepcion made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner Roy. Commissioner Camargo, your vote, please.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Concepcion.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Roy.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Stebbins.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Hoffman, aye. Let the record show that the motion was approved by a vote of 5 in favor. Commissioners Camargo, Concepcion, Roy, Stebbins, and Hoffman, with none opposed. I'm going to suggest that we don't take a lunch break because I think we've got about another half hour to 45 minutes to go. Let's just take a 10-minute break. Is that all right, or would people prefer a longer lunch break? I prefer the forum, but I'm very open-minded. What's the consensus of the commission?
I think 15 minutes, about 15 minutes.
15-minute break?
Yep.
And then I'll do my best to get us done by 45 minutes or so after we reconvene. So okay, it's 12:16. We are in recess until 12:30. Thank you very much. Okay, it is 12:30. I can see everybody. We are back in session. Whoever suggested that break, thank you. I'm feeling a lot better, so let's see if we can make our way through the remainder of the provisionals. Starting with, I think we're up to Dr. Green Thumb Greenfield LLC, which is retail. Please go ahead, Mr. Chamberlain.
Yep, the applicant here is Dr. Green Thumb Greenfield LLC. The proposed location is 220-228 Main Street, located in Greenfield, Massachusetts. They're seeking a retail license, and this applicant received general review. Additional information is contained within the executive summary for the Commission's review and consideration, and therefore Commission staff do recommend the issuance of a provisional license subject to the conditions before you.
Thank you very much. Other than Commissioner Roy's blanket condition, I'm not aware of any additional requests for additional conditions on this license. Are there comments, questions, or requests for additional conditions? Okay, then Commissioner Roy, would you please make a motion to approve staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Dr. Green Thumb Greenfield LLC, subject to the additional condition requested by Commissioner Roy?
So moved.
Thank you. Commissioner Stebbins, would you second that motion, please?
Second.
Thank you. Let the record show that Commissioner Roy made the motion, seconded by Commissioner Stebbins. Commissioner Camargo, your vote, please.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Concepcion.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Roy.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Stebbins.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Hoffman, aye. Let the record show the motion was approved by a vote of 5 in favor. Commissioners Camargo, Concepcion, Roy, Stebbins, and Hoffman with none opposed. Thank you. Next up, Mr. Chamberlain, Ganor LLC, which as a marijuana delivery operator was expedited given the applicant's status as a social equity program participant. Please go ahead.
Yep, the applicant here is Ganor LLC. The proposed location is 60 Damon Road, located in Northampton, Massachusetts. We're seeking a marijuana delivery operator license, and this applicant received expedited review. Additional information is contained within the executive summary for the Commission's review and consideration, and therefore Commission staff do recommend the issuance of a provisional license subject to the conditions before you.
Thank you. I have a request from Commissioner Roy to add 2 additional conditions in addition to her blanket condition. Specifically, condition 1, prior to final licensure and upon receiving a commence operations notice, applicant shall ensure full compliance with consumer education material requirements in accordance with 935 CMR 500.1406, namely bullet 7, by adding the telephone number for the Massachusetts Substance Use Helpline. Second condition requested, additional condition requested by Commissioner Roy. Prior to final application for licensure, the applicant shall ensure compliance with 935 CMR 500.0507C, namely not providing direct or indirect compensation and/or free consultation and ancillary services to independent testing laboratories in the execution of its plan to positively impact disproportionately harm people as a condition of licensure. Are there any other comments, questions, or requests for additional conditions on this license? Okay, then Commissioner Stebbins, could I ask you please for a motion to approve the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Ganor LLC, subject to the additional conditions requested by Commissioner Roy?
So moved.
Thank you. Commissioner Camargo, could you second that motion, please?
Second.
Thank you. Let the record show that Commissioner Stebbins made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner Camargo. Commissioner Camargo, your vote, please.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Concepcion.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Roy.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Stebbins.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Hoffman, aye. Let the record show that the commission approved, or the motion was approved by a vote of 5 in favor. Commissioners Camargo, Concepcion, Roy, Stebbins, and Hoffman with none opposed. Thank you. Next up, Mr. Chamberlain, is Green Choice Dispensaries LLC, which is a retail establishment. Please go ahead.
Yep, the applicant here is Green Choice Dispensaries LLC. The proposed location is 114 Main Street, located in Blackstone, Massachusetts. They're seeking a retail license, and this applicant received general review. Additional information is contained within the executive summary for the Commission's review and consideration, and therefore Commission staff do recommend the issuance of a provisional license subject to the conditions before you.
Thank you. Other than the blanket condition requested by Commissioner Roy, I'm not aware of any additional conditions being requested on this license. Are there any, or questions or comments? Then Commissioner Concepcion, could I'm sorry, Commissioner Concepcion, would you please make a motion to approve the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Green Choice Dispensaries LLC, subject to the additional condition requested by Commissioner Roy?
So moved.
Thank you. Commissioner Roy, would you second that motion, please?
Second.
Thank you. Let's make sure that the motion was made by Commissioner Concepcion, seconded by Commissioner Roy. Commissioner Camargo, your vote, please.
Aye.
Thank you, Commissioner Concepcion.
Aye.
Thank you, Commissioner Roy.
Aye.
Thank you, Commissioner Stebbins.
Aye.
Thank you, Commissioner Hoffman. I let the record show that the motion was approved by a vote of 5 in favor. Commissioners Camargo, Concepcion, Roy, Stebbins, and Hoffman, with none opposed. Thank you very much. Next up, Mr. Chamberlain, is Green Jeans Farm LLC, which is a craft marijuana cooperative and therefore expedited both on the basis of license type as well as being a women-owned business. Please go ahead.
The applicant here is Green Jeans Farms LLC. The proposed location is 149 Christian Lane, located in Whately, Massachusetts, as well as 270 Franklin Street, located in Belchertown, Massachusetts. They're seeking a craft marijuana cooperative license, and this applicant received expedited review. Additional information is contained within the executive summary for the Commission's review and consideration. Therefore, Commission staff do recommend the issuance of a provisional license subject to the conditions before you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chamberlain. I am aware of one additional condition on top of the blanket condition requested by Commissioner Roy. Commissioner Roy also has an additional specific condition requested for this license specifically. Prior to final licensure, please inform the Commission of your additional operational plans for indoor and outdoor marijuana cultivators as it relates to quality control samples in accordance with 935 CMR 500.12014. Are there other comments, questions, or requests for additional conditions on this license?
I think I have two, Mr. Chairman.
Do you? I'm sorry. Give me a second here. I'm sorry that I missed that. I've got it in my notes. I apologize. I have two additional conditions requested by Commissioner Stebbins. Prior to final application for licensure, review diversity hiring goals and projected number of employees and provide any updates. Second, prior to final application for licensure, clarify whether donation to Soldier On is part of the diversity plan or should be aligned with the positive impact plan. Sorry about that, Commissioner Stebbins.
No worries.
Are there any other questions, comments, or requests for additional conditions on this license?
Just a comment. It's nice to
Yes.
see craft marijuana cooperative on the provisional license. It's really nice, and I hope they can move through the process.
Couldn't agree more. Thank you for that comment. Anything else? Any other conditions? Then could I ask, please, for a motion to approve the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Green Jean Farms LLC, subject to the additional conditions requested by Commissioners Roy and Stebbins. Could I ask Commissioner Roy, would you make that motion, please?
So moved.
Thank you. Commissioner Stebbins, would you second that motion, please?
Second.
Thank you. Let the record show that Commissioner Roy made the motion, seconded by Commissioner Stebbins. Commissioner Camargo, your vote, please.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Concepcion.
Aye.
I'm sorry.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Roy.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Stebbins.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Hoffman, aye. Let the record show that the motion was approved by a vote of 5 in favor. Commissioners Camargo, Concepcion, Roy, Stebbins, and Hoffman, with none opposed. Next up, Mr. Chamberlain, is Hadley Holistic Greens Dispensary LLC, which is retail. And please go ahead.
Yep, the applicant here is Hadley Holistic Greens Dispensary LLC. The proposed location is 251 Russell Street, located in Hadley, Massachusetts. They're seeking a retail license, and this applicant received general review. Additional information is contained within the executive summary for the Commission's review and consideration. Therefore, Commission staff do recommend the issuance of a provisional license subject to the conditions before you.
Thank you very much. Prior to reading some additional requests for conditions on this licensure, I know that Commissioner Stebbins is asked to make a comment.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chair. You'll see from the condition I'm proposing for the applicant, I'm looking for some clarification to their strategy of engaging vendors and/or ones that would qualify for the Commission's social equity program. I think the strategy is commendable, and it may offer an opportunity for licensees who come across work candidates or small business owners to engage with Kevin and Celia here with our social equity program at the commission. So our licensees or applicants may find potential employees and vendors who would make good candidates for the next SEP cohort. So I would certainly encourage the folks from Madleaf, again, to reach out to Kevin and Celia on our team to talk through more what that opportunity might be. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Stebbins. So again, let me read Commissioner Stebbins' request for additional conditions, as well as I have a request from Commissioner Roy. For Commissioner Stebbins, 2 additional conditions he's requested on this license. First, prior to final application for licensure, contact the Cannabis Control Commission Licensing Division with an update to confirm your training and recruitment partners and eligibility to support your activities. Secondly, prior to final application for licensure, clarify strategy within Positive Impact Plan that describes vendors whose owners or employees qualify for the Cannabis Control Commission Social Equity Program or have been accepted in the Cannabis Control Commission Social Equity Program. Additionally, from Commissioner Roy, I have a request for an additional condition, which is specifically prior to final licensure and upon receiving a commence operations notice, applicant shall ensure full compliance with consumer education material requirements in accordance with 935 CMR 500.1406, namely bullet 7, by adding the telephone number for the Massachusetts Substance Use Helpline. Are there any comments, questions, or requests for additional conditions on this license? Then could I ask Commissioner Stebbins, would you please make a motion to approve staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Hadleaf Holistic Greens Dispensary LLC, subject to the additional conditions requested by Commissioners Roy and Stebbins?
So moved.
Thank you. Commissioner Camargo, would you second that motion, please?
Second.
Thank you. Let's record show that Commissioner Stebbins made the motion, seconded by Commissioner Camargo. Commissioner Camargo, your vote, please.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Concepcion.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Roy.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Stebbins.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Hoffman. Let the record show that the motion was approved by a vote of 5 in favor. Commissioners Camargo, Concepcion, Roy, Stebbins, and Hoffman, with none opposed. Next up, we have Hardwick Mill Greenery Incorporated, which is product manufacturer. Please go ahead, Mr. Chamberlain.
The applicant here is Hardwick Mill Greenery Incorporated. The proposed location is 94 Main Street, located in Hardwick, Massachusetts. They're seeking a product manufacturing license, and this applicant received general review. Additional information is contained within the executive summary for the Commission's review and consideration, and therefore Commission staff do recommend the issuance of a provisional license subject to the conditions before you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chamberlain. In addition to Commissioner Roy's blanket condition, I have requests from Commissioner Stebbins and Commissioner Roy for additional conditions on this license. From Commissioner Stebbins, prior to final application for licensure, identify any spending goals with disabled citizen-owned certified businesses. And from Commissioner Roy, prior to final licensure, please inform the Commission of your additional operational plans for marijuana product manufacturers as it relates to quality control samples in accordance with 500.1309. Are there any other comments, questions, or requests for additional conditions on this license? Okay, then Commissioner Camargo, could I ask you please to approve the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Hardwick Mill Greenery Incorporated, subject to the additional conditions requested by Commissioner Roy and Stebbins. Commissioner Stebbins.
So moved.
Thank you. Commissioner Concepcion, would you second that motion, please?
Second.
Thank you. Let the record show that Commissioner Camargo made the motion, seconded by Commissioner Concepcion. Commissioner Camargo, your vote, please.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Concepcion.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Roy.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Stebbins.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Hoffman. Aye. Let the record show that the motion was approved by a vote of 5 in favor. Commissioners Camargo, Concepcion, Roy, Stebbins, and Hoffman, with none opposed. Thank you. Next up, Mr. Chamberlain, is Holistic Health Group Incorporated, product manufacturing. Please go ahead.
Yep, the applicant here is Holistic Health Group Incorporated. The proposed location is 477 Wareham Street, located in Middleborough, Massachusetts. They're seeking a product manufacturing license, and this applicant received general review. Additional information is contained within the executive summary for the Commission's review and consideration, and therefore Commission staff do recommend the issuance of a provisional license subject to the conditions before you.
Thank you very much. In addition to the blanket condition requested by Commissioner Roy, I have an additional request from her for a specific condition on this license. Specifically, prior to final licensure, please inform the Commission of your additional operational plans for marijuana product manufacturers as it relates to quality control samples in accordance with 500.1309. Are there any other comments, questions, or requests for additional conditions on this license? Then Commissioner Concepcion, could I ask you please to make a motion to approve the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Holistic Health Group Incorporated, subject to the additional conditions requested by Commissioner Roy?
So moved.
Thank you. Commissioner Roy, would you second that motion, please?
Second.
Thank you. Let the record show that Commissioner Concepcion made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner Roy. Commissioner Camargo, your vote, please.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Concepcion.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Roy.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Stebbins.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Hoffman, aye. Let the record show the motion was approved by a vote of 5 in favor. Commissioners Camargo, Concepcion, Roy, Stebbins, and Hoffman with none opposed. Thank you very much. Mr. Chairman, next up is LabX Group LLC, which is an independent testing laboratory and therefore received expedited treatment based upon license. Please go ahead.
The applicant here is LabX Group LLC. The proposed location is 393 East Main Street, located in Southbridge, Massachusetts. They're seeking an independent testing laboratory license, and this applicant received expedited review. Additional information is contained within the executive summary for the Commission's review and consideration, and therefore Commission staff do recommend the issuance of a provisional license subject to the conditions before you.
Thank you. I'm not aware of any additional conditions being requested on this licensure other than the blanket condition requested by Commissioner Roy. Are there questions, comments, or requests for additional conditions?
I'll make a comment after we vote
Wait.
on it.
After we vote, fine, no problem. Then could I ask Commissioner Roy, would you make a motion, please, to approve the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to LabX Group LLC, subject to the additional condition requested by Commissioner Roy?
So moved.
Thank you. Commissioner Stebbins, would you second that motion, please?
Second.
Thank you. Let's make sure that Commissioner Roy made the motion, seconded by Commissioner Stebbins. Commissioner Camargo, your vote, please.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Concepcion.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Roy.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Stebbins.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Hoffman, aye. Let the record show that the motion was approved by a vote of 5 in favor. Commissioners Camargo, Concepcion, Roy, Stebbins, and Hoffman with none opposed. Please go ahead, Commissioner Camargo.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm not sure if the other commissioners have this note on this one, but I had written a note to myself that their positive impact plan will entail collaborating with 10 social equity applicants or economic empowerment applicants to support them with fees and business planning and things like that. But I think it's a good reminder to Commissioner Stebbins' point earlier for LabX Group, you know, whether you are already connected to the cohorts and the EEAs, but if not, please reach out to our team, Kevin Sibley and Thalia Williams here at the Commission, can connect you to some of those folks. So, and kudos to this applicant for taking on a good amount of SEPs or EEAs to support in the process.
Okay, thanks for that comment. Okay, let's keep moving. Next up is MA or Massachusetts Craft Cultivation LLC, which is Tier 6 outdoor cultivation and therefore expedited by application or license type. Please go ahead, Mr. Chamberlain.
Yep, the applicant here is Massachusetts Craft Cultivation LLC. The proposed location is 108 West Layden, 108 West Layden Road, located in Coleraine, Massachusetts. They're seeking a cultivation license, and this applicant received expedited review. Additional information is contained within the executive summary for the Commission's review and consideration, and therefore Commission staff do recommend the issuance of a provisional license subject to the conditions before you.
Thank you very much. Other than Commissioner Roy's request for a blanket condition, I am not aware of any other conditions being requested on this license. Are there questions, comments, or requests for additional conditions? Commissioner Roy, please go ahead.
I just want to give a shout out to Mass Craft Cultivation because they also included in their very, very thorough quality control and testing plan. They did include a provision around quality control testing and samples of 500/1/2014. So they also did it, and I want to thank them very much. So therefore no condition.
Other than your blanket condition.
Other than the blanket condition.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other comments or questions or requests for additional conditions? Then Commissioner Stebbins, could I ask you please to make a motion to approve the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Mass Craft Cultivation LLC, subject to the additional condition requested by Commissioner Roy?
So moved.
Thank you. Commissioner Camargo, would you second that motion, please?
Second.
Thank you. Let the record show that Commissioner Stebbins made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner Camargo. Commissioner Camargo, your vote, please.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Concepcion.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Roy.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Stebbins.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Hoffman, aye. Let the record show that the motion was approved by a vote of 5 in favor. Commissioners Camargo, Concepcion, Roy, Stebbins, and Hoffman with none opposed. Thank you very much. Next up, Mr. Chamberlain, there are 2 co-located applications for Page Cultivate Llc, Tier 5 Indoor Cultivation and Product Manufacturing. Please go ahead.
Yep, the applicant here is Page Cultivate LLC. The proposed location is 299 Page Boulevard, Lot 2, located in Springfield, Massachusetts. They're seeking cultivation and product manufacturing licenses, and this applicant received general review. Additional information is contained within the executive summary for the Commission's review and consideration. Therefore, Commission staff do recommend the issuance of a provisional license subject to the conditions before you.
Thank you very much. Again, we'll vote separately, but I have requests for additional conditions from both Commissioners Roy and Stebbins. Commissioner Roy, you made a note they apply to both licenses. Commissioner Stebbins, is that also the case with your? Okay, so let's start. The first condition or the additional condition requested by Commissioner Roy is as follows. Prior to final licensure, please inform the Commissioner of your additional operational plans for indoor and outdoor marijuana cultivators and marijuana product manufacturers as it relates to quality control samples in accordance with 935 CMR 500.12.12014 and 500.13009. From Commissioner Stebbins, his additional condition is as follows. Prior to final application for licensure, segment diversity hiring goals out from the positive impact plan. With respect to the first of these 2 licenses, the Tier 5 indoor cultivation license, any comments, questions, or requests for additional conditions? Then Commissioner Camargo, could I ask you please to make a motion to approve the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Page Cultivate LLC for Tier 5 indoor cultivation, subject to the additional conditions requested by Commissioners Roy and Stebbins?
So moved.
Thank you. Commissioner Concepcion, could I ask you to second that motion, please?
Second.
Thank you. Let the record show that Commissioner Camargo made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner Concepcion. Commissioner Camargo, your vote, please.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Concepcion.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Roy.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Stebbins.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Hoffman, I let the record show that the motion was approved by a vote of 5 in favor. Commissioners Camargo, Concepcion, Roy, Stebbins, and Hoffman with none opposed. Next up is the second co-located application from Page Cultivate LLC, this one for product manufacturing. Could again I get a motion, please, from Commissioner Concepcion to approve the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license subject to the additional conditions requested by Commissioners Roy and Stebbins?
So moved.
Thank you. Commissioner Roy, would you second that motion, please?
Second.
Thank you. Let the record show that the motion to approve was made by Commissioner Concepcion, seconded by Commissioner Roy. Commissioner Camargo, your vote, please.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Concepcion.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Roy.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Stebbins.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Hoffman, aye. Let the record show that the motion was approved by a vote of 5 in favor. Commissioners Camargo, Concepcion, Roy, Stebbins, and Hoffman with none opposed. Next up, Mr. Chamberlain, is Cannabis, Massachusetts Incorporated, product manufacturing license. This is an MTC priority license application. Please go ahead.
If the applicant here is Cannabis, Massachusetts Incorporated. The proposed location is 465 Hopping Brook Road, located in Holliston, Massachusetts. They're seeking a product manufacturing license, and this applicant received priority review. Additional information is contained within the executive summary for the Commission's review and consideration, and therefore Commission staff do recommend the issuance of a provisional license subject to the conditions before you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chamberlain. I have requests from both Commissioner Stebbins and Roy for additional conditions on this license, starting with Commissioner Roy. Specifically, prior to final licensure, please inform the Commission of your additional operational plans for marijuana product manufacturers as it relates to quality control samples in accordance with 500.13009. Commissioner Stebbins has requested 2 additional conditions on this license. First, prior to final application for licensure, identify all organizations intended to receive contributions through positive impact plan and clarify relevance of plan to product manufacturing operations in Holliston. Secondly, prior to final application for licensure, review diversity plan to include population census data from Middlesex County. Are there any additional conditions or requests for or comments or questions on this this application? Okay, Commissioner Roy, I think you're up. Could you please make a motion to approve the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Cannabis, Massachusetts Incorporated, subject to the additional conditions requested by Commissioners Roy and Stebbins?
So moved.
Thank you. Commissioner Stebbins, would you second that motion, please?
Second.
Thank you. Let the record show Commissioner Roy made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner Stebbins. Commissioner Camargo, your vote, please.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Concepcion.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Roy.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Stebbins.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Hoffman, aye. Let the record show that the motion was approved by a vote of 5 in favor. Commissioners Camargo, Concepcion, Roy, Stebbins, and Hoffman with none opposed. Thank you. Next up, Mr. Chamberlain, there are 2 co-located applications from, is it Sama Productions LLC for Tier 4 indoor cultivation and product manufacturing? Please go ahead, Mr. Chamberlain.
Certainly. The applicant here is Sama Productions LLC. The proposed location is 42 South Main Street, located in Sandusfield, Massachusetts. They're seeking cultivation and product manufacturing licenses, and this applicant received general review. Additional information is contained within the executive summary for the Commission's review and consideration. Therefore, Commission staff do recommend the issuance of a provisional license, subject to the conditions before you.
Thank you. I have, in addition to the blanket condition requested by Commissioner Roy, I have requests from both Commissioner Stebbins and Commissioner Roy for additional conditions on these 2 licenses. And again, my understanding from both of you is that they apply to both licenses. Your condition requests apply to both licenses. Thank you. So starting with Commissioner Stebbins, his 2 additional requested conditions are as follows. First, prior to final application for licensure, verify internship program is targeted to individuals over the age of 21. Second, prior to final application for licensure, review diversity hiring goals and projected number of employees and provide any updates. From Commissioner Roy, there are 2 requested additional conditions. First, prior to final licensure, please inform the Commission of your additional operational plans for indoor and outdoor marijuana cultivators and marijuana product manufacturers as it relates to quality control samples in accordance with 935 CMR 500.12014 and 500.1309. The second additional condition requested by Commissioner Roy on both of these licenses is prior to performing job functions at marijuana establishment, all paid interns as stated in goal number 2 of your positive impact plan must become registered agents in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts and provide agent registration card to the Commission upon request pursuant to 935 CMR 500.030. Are there any comments, questions, or additional conditions requested on these 2 licenses? Okay, then let's start with the first of these, which is Tier 4 indoor cultivation. Commissioner Stebbins, could I have a motion, please, to approve the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Salmon Productions LLC for Tier 4 indoor cultivation, subject to the additional conditions requested by Commissioners Roy and Stebbins?
So moved.
Excuse me. Thank you. Commissioner Camargo, would you second that motion, please?
Second.
Thank you. Let the record show that Commissioner Stebbins made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner Camargo. Commissioner Camargo, your vote, please.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Concepcion.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Roy.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Stebbins.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Hoffman, aye. Let the record show the motion was approved by a vote of 5 in favor. Commissioners Camargo, Concepcion, Roy, Stebbins, and Hoffman with none opposed. Next up is the second of these 2 co-located applications from Salmon Productions LLC, this one for product manufacturing. Commissioner Camargo, could I have a motion, please, to approve the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license subject to the additional conditions requested by Commissioners Roy and Stebbins?
So moved.
Thank you. Commissioner Concepcion, would you second that motion, please?
Second.
Thank you. Let the record show that Commissioner Camargo made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner Concepcion. Commissioner Camargo, your vote, please.
Aye.
Okay, sorry, I didn't hear it. Commissioner Concepcion?
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Roy?
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Stebbins?
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Hoffman, aye. Let the record show the motion was approved by a vote of 5 in favor. Commissioners Camargo, Concepcion, Roy, Stebbins, and Hoffman with none opposed. Okay, next up, Mr. Chamberlain, is Teddy's Veggie Farm, Tier 2 indoor cultivation. This application was expedited given the applicant status as a social equity program participant. Please go ahead.
Yep, the applicant here is Teddy's Veggie Farm. Proposed location is 134 Gold Street, located in Worcester, Massachusetts. They're seeking a cultivation license, and this applicant received expedited review. Additional information is contained within the executive summary for the Commission's review and consideration. And therefore, Commission staff do recommend the issuance of a provisional license subject to the conditions before you.
Okay, thank you very much. I have requests from Commissioners Roy, Stebbins, and Camargo for an additional conditions on this license, and then that is on top of the blanket condition requested by Commissioner Roy. So let me go through them, starting with, yes.
Sorry to interrupt you, but I want to.
Oh,
I need,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt you. I'm going to withdraw my condition, and
Okay.
after I hear the rest, I may add one if it wasn't added.
That's fine. I'll certainly give you the opportunity to do so. So then let's start with Commissioner Roy. Her additional condition requested is prior to final licensure, please inform the Commission of your additional operational plans for indoor and outdoor marijuana cultivators as it relates to quality control samples in accordance with 935 CMR 500.12014. With respect to Commissioner Stebbins, his request for additional condition is prior to final application for licensure, clarify contributions and recipient organizations. At this point, I'd like to ask, are there comments, questions, or Commissioner Camargo, are there additional conditions that you would like to request on this license?
Just withdrawing the one that I sent you, and I think the one I was going to put on was Commissioner Stebbins just did it, so perfect.
Okay, so fine. So just to summarize where we are, we have Commissioner Roy's blanket condition on this license, and then Commissioner Stebbins and Commissioner Roy both have an additional condition requested on this licensure. That being said, Commissioner Camargo, could I ask please for a motion to approve the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Teddy's Veggie Farm, subject to the additional conditions requested by Commissioners Roy and Stebbins?
So moved.
Yes? Thank you, appreciate it. Commissioner Concepcion, would you second that motion, please?
Second.
Thank you. Let the record show that the motion was made by Commissioner Camargo, seconded by Commissioner Concepcion. Commissioner Camargo, your vote, please.
Aye.
Thank you, Commissioner Concepcion.
Aye.
Thank you, Commissioner Roy.
Aye.
Thank you, Commissioner Stebbins.
Aye.
Thank you, Commissioner Hoffman. Aye. Let the record show the motion was approved by a vote of 5 in favor. Commissioners Camargo, Concepcion, Roy, Stebbins, and Hoffman, with none opposed. Thank you. Before we move on to the next application, Commissioner Camargo has asked to be recused. I see you've already disappeared, Commissioner Camargo. So bye. Please go ahead. This is the Cannabis Station, which is a retail license application. Please go ahead, Mr. Chamberlain.
Yep, the applicant here is the Cannabis Station. The proposed location is 2363-2365 Washington Street, located in Boston, Massachusetts. They're seeking a retail license. This applicant received general review. Additional information is contained within the executive summary for the Commission's review and consideration, and therefore Commission staff do recommend the issuance of a provisional license subject to the conditions before you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chamberlain. In addition to the blanket condition requested by Commissioner Roy, I have requests from Commissioner Roy for an additional condition on this license, specifically prior to final licensure and upon receiving a commence operations notice, applicant shall ensure full compliance with consumer educational material requirements in accordance with 935 CMR 500.1406 by adding the telephone number for the Massachusetts Substance Use Helpline. Are there any additional conditions requested on this license? Then Commissioner Concepcion, could I ask you please for a motion to approve the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to the Cannabis Station, subject to the additional conditions requested by Commissioner Roy?
So moved.
Thank you. Commissioner Roy, would you second that motion, please?
Second.
Thank you. Let the record show that the motion was made by Commissioner Concepcion, seconded by Commissioner Roy. Commissioner Concepcion, your vote, please.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Roy?
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Stebbins?
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Hoffman, aye. Let the record show that the motion was approved by a vote of 4 in favor. Commissioners Concepcion, Roy, Stebbins, and Hoffman, with Commissioner Camargo recused. Thank you. Can we have the next slide, please? And welcome back, Commissioner Camargo. The next application is the Corner Emporium LLC, a marijuana courier, and this is an economic empowerment priority application. Please go ahead, Mr. Chamberlain.
Yep, the applicant here is the Corner Emporium LLC. The proposed location is 40 Jackson Street, located in Worcester, Massachusetts. They're seeking a marijuana courier license, and this applicant received priority review. Additional information is contained within the executive summary for the Commission's review and consideration, and therefore Commission staff do recommend the issuance of a provisional license subject to the conditions before you.
Thank you, Mr. Chamberlain. Other than Commissioner Roy's blanket condition, I have no requests for additional conditions on this licensure. Are there comments, questions, or requests for additional conditions? Then Commissioner Roy, could I ask you please to make a motion to approve the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to the Corner Emporium LLC, subject to the additional condition requested by Commissioner Roy?
So moved.
Thank you. Commissioner Stebbins, would you second that motion, please?
Second.
Thank you. Let the record show that the motion was made by Commissioner Roy, seconded by Commissioner Stebbins. Commissioner Camargo, your vote, please.
Aye.
Thank you. I don't know whether your microphone's out or my hearing is out, but I didn't hear it anyway. Thank you.
Okay.
Commissioner Concepcion, your vote, please.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Roy.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Stebbins.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Hoffman, aye. Let the record show that the motion was approved by a vote of 5 in favor. Commissioners Camargo, Concepcion, Roy, Stebbins, and Hoffman with none opposed. Thank you. Next up is the Harvest Club LLC retail. This was an expedited application based upon the applicant's status as a social equity program participant. Please go ahead, Mr. Chamberlain.
The applicant here is the Harvest Club LLC. The proposed location is 255 Elm Street, located in Somerville, Massachusetts. They're seeking a retail license, and this applicant received expedited review. Additional information is contained within the executive summary for the Commission's review and consideration. Therefore, Commission staff do recommend the issuance of a provisional license, subject to the conditions before you.
Yeah, thank you very much. I have requests from both Commissioner Roy and Commissioner Camargo for conditions in addition to the blanket condition requested by Commissioner Roy. Specifically, Commissioner Roy, prior to final licensure and upon receiving a commence operations notice, applicant shall ensure full compliance with consumer educational material requirements in accordance with 935 CMR 500.140.6 by adding the telephone number for the Massachusetts Substance Use Helpline. And from Commissioner Camargo, prior to final license, applicant amend and resubmit their positive impact plan and diversity plan to ensure that it only addresses commission approved areas of disproportionately impacted areas, which currently does not include Somerville. Are there additional conditions requested on this licensure? Then Commissioner Stebbins, could I please ask you to make a motion to approve the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to the Harvest Club LLC, subject to the additional conditions requested by Commissioners Roy and Camargo?
So moved.
Thank you. Commissioner Camargo, would you second that motion, please?
Second. Can you hear me?
No, I only when you're that close. When you're
Okay,
leaning back, for some reason I can't hear you at all. I'm sorry.
Sorry to interrupt the process.
That's okay. Thank you. That's fine. Let the record show the motion was made by Commissioner Stebbins, seconded by Commissioner Camargo. Commissioner Camargo, your vote, please.
Aye.
Thank you.
Aye.
Are other people having the same problem I am?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll slug through it. Don't worry. Commissioner Concepcion, your vote, please.
Aye.
Thank you, Commissioner Roy.
Aye.
Thank you, Commissioner Stebbins.
Aye.
Thank you, Commissioner Hoffman. I let the record show that the motion was approved by a vote of 5 in favor. Commissioners Camargo, Concepcion, Roy, Stebbins, and Hoffman with none opposed. Thank you. Next up, Mr. Chamberlain, is UC Cultivation Llc, Tier 5 Outdoor Cultivation, which is expedited based upon license type. Please go ahead.
Yep, the applicant here is UC Cultivation Llc. The proposed location is 601 Fitchburg Street, located in Ashby, Massachusetts. They're seeking a cultivation license, and this applicant received expedited review. Additional information is contained within the executive summary for the Commission's review and consideration. Therefore, Commission staff do recommend the issuance of a provisional license, subject to the conditions before you.
Thank you very much. In addition to the blanket condition requested by Commissioner Roy, I have a request from Commissioner Roy for an additional condition on this license. Specifically, prior to final licensure, please inform the Commission of your additional operational plans for indoor and outdoor marijuana cultivators as it relates to quality control samples in accordance with 935 CMR 500.120.14. Are there other conditions or comments on this application? Then Commissioner Camargo, could I ask you please for a motion to approve the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to UC Cultivation LLC, subject to the additional conditions requested by Commissioner Roy?
So moved.
Thank you. Commissioner Concepcion, would you second that motion, please?
Second.
Thank you. Let's make sure that Commissioner Camargo made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner Concepcion. Commissioner Camargo, your vote, please.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Concepcion.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Roy.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Stebbins.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Hoffman, I let the record show that the motion was approved by a vote of 5 in favor. Commissioners Camargo, Concepcion, Roy, Stebbins, and Hoffman with none opposed. Thank you. Next up, Mr. Chamberlain, we have 3 co-located applications from Victoria Frost LLC, Tier 2 indoor cultivation, product manufacturing, and retail. Please go ahead.
Yep, the applicant here is Victoria Frost LLC. The proposed location is 679-689 Main Street, located in Holyoke, Massachusetts. They're seeking cultivation, product manufacturing, and retail licenses today. This applicant received general review. Additional information is contained within the executive summary for the Commission's review and consideration. Therefore, Commission staff do recommend the issuance of a provisional license subject to the conditions before you.
Thank you very much. So we'll treat them separately. So in addition to the blanket condition requested by Commissioner Roy on all provisional licenses, I have a request from Commissioner Stebbins for a condition that would apply to all 3 of these licenses, if I'm correct.
Correct.
That specifically is prior to final application for licensure, contact Cannabis Control Commission Licensing Division with an update to confirm your training and recruitment partners and eligibility to support your activities. Commissioner Roy has different conditions requested for each of these 3 licenses. So as we go through them, I'll read them. So starting with Victoria Frost LLC, Tier 2 indoor cultivation. The additional condition requested by Commissioner Roy is as follows. Yes, I've got it right. Prior to final licensure, please inform the Commission of your additional operational plans for indoor and outdoor marijuana cultivators as it relates to quality control samples in accordance with 935 CMR 500.12014. So let's pause there. So we're talking about the first of these 3 licenses, the Tier 2 indoor cultivation. Are there any other comments or requests for additional conditions on that license? Then Commissioner Camargo, could I ask you please to make a motion to approve the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Victoria Frost LLC for Tier 2 indoor cultivation subject to the additional conditions requested by Commissioner Roy and Stebbins?
So moved.
Thank you. Commissioner Concepcion, would you second that motion, please?
Second.
Thank you. Let the record show that Commissioner Camargo made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner Concepcion. Commissioner Camargo, your vote, please.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Concepcion.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Roy.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Stebbins.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Hoffman, aye. Let the record show that the motion was approved by a vote of 5 in favor. Commissioners Camargo, Concepcion, Roy, Stebbins, and Hoffman with none opposed. The next up is the second application from Victoria Frost LLC for product manufacturing. Again, the conditions here are the blanket condition requested by Commissioner Roy, Commissioner Stebbins condition that I read relating to their previous application, and then specifically to this application for product manufacturing. Commissioner Roy has requested the following additional condition. Prior to final licensure, please inform the Commissioner of your additional operational plans for marijuana manufacturers as it relates to quality control samples in accordance with 500.130.9. Are there any additional conditions requested on this specific Victoria Frost application?
Just a little clarification on the language,
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman. Additional operational plans for marijuana product manufacturers.
Right. If I didn't read that, I apologize.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you.
Sure. Any other comments or questions or additional conditions? Then could I ask, please, Commissioner Concepcion, would you make a motion to approve the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Victoria Frost LLC for product manufacturing subject to the additional conditions requested by Commissioners Roy and Stebbins?
So moved.
Thank you. Could I have a second, please, Commissioner Roy?
Second.
Thank you. Let the record show that Commissioner Concepcion made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner Roy. Commissioner Camargo, your vote, please.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Concepcion.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Roy.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Stebbins.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Hoffman. I let the record show that the commission approved the staff recommendation, or excuse me, that the motion passed by a vote of 5 in favor. Commissioners Camargo, Concepcion, Roy, Stebbins, and Hoffman with none opposed. Next up is the last of the 3 Victoria Frost applications. This one for retail, and again, this would be subject to Commissioner Roy's global condition. Commissioner Stebbins commission request for additional conditions on all of the Victoria Frost applications, and then a specific additional condition requested by Commissioner Roy as follows. Prior to final licensure and upon receiving a commence operations notice, applicant shall ensure full compliance with consumer educational materials in accordance with 935 CMR 500.1406 by adding the telephone number for the Massachusetts Substance Use Helpline. Are there any additional conditions requested on this final Victoria Frost application? Then could I ask Commissioner Roy, would you please make a motion to approve the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Victoria Frost LLC for retail, subject to the additional conditions requested by Commissioners Roy and Stebbins?
So moved.
Thank you. Commissioner Stebbins, would you second that motion, please?
Second.
Thank you. Let the record show that Commissioner Roy made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner Stebbins. Commissioner Camargo, your vote, please.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Concepcion.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Roy.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Stebbins.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Hoffman, I let the record show that the motion was approved by a vote of 5 in favor. Commissioners Camargo, Concepcion, Roy, Stebbins, and Hoffman with none opposed. Finally up is Nature's Medicines Incorporated, which is a vertically integrated medical marijuana treatment center. Please go ahead, Mr. Chamberlain.
Yep, the applicant here is Nature's Medicine Incorporated. Proposed location is 1045 Quaker Highway, located in Uxbridge, Massachusetts. They're seeking a medical marijuana treatment center license, and this applicant received priority review. Additional information is contained within the executive summary for the Commission's review and consideration, and therefore Commission staff do recommend the issuance of a provisional license subject to the conditions before you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chamberlain. Just to clarify, Commissioner Roy, your global or your blanket condition, does this apply to this
Yes.
as well? It does. Thank you.
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay, so in addition to the blanket condition requested by Commissioner Roy, Commissioner Stebbins has a request for an additional condition on this license, specifically prior to final application for licensure, review goals of positive impact plan and focus on Fall River, Mass, and consider disproportionately impacted communities in closer proximity to Uxbridge, Mass proposed location. Are there other questions, comments, or requests for additional conditions on this license? And Commissioner Stebbins, could I ask you please to make a motion to approve the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Nature Medicines Incorporated, subject to the additional conditions requested by Commissioner Roy and Stebbins?
So moved.
Thank you. Commissioner Camargo, would you second that motion, please?
Second.
Thank you. Let the record show that the motion to approve was made by Commissioner Stebbins, seconded by Commissioner Camargo. Commissioner Camargo, your vote, please. Once again, I didn't hear.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Concepcion.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Roy.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Stebbins.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Hoffman, aye. Let the record show that the motion was approved by a vote of 5 in favor. Commissioners Camargo, Concepcion, Roy, Stebbins, and Hoffman with none opposed. Thank you. Mr. Chamberlain, are we set? Are there other provisional licenses for review at this point in time?
Not at this time, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, well then, first of all, thank you for your participation today. Thank you for all the work that goes behind getting ready to participate, and to all the rest of our licensing team. That was a large number of licenses we just processed, so thank you very much for that. And are we going to see you next month, or are you done with us?
We'll see. I think you're going to see me later in the year. We're going to cycle on to the next licensing manager and Mari next month, I believe.
Okay, well, if we don't see you next month, thank you for your help all these previous months. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Certainly,
very
Mr.
much.
Chair.
Thank you.
If I may, I'd like to make just one brief statement here and just
Please go ahead.
So once again, obviously, I'd like to thank the Commission for having me today, the Chief of Investigations and Enforcement, as well as the Director of Licensing for allowing me to present the licensing materials to the Commission today, as well as the last 2 months. I'd also like to acknowledge the enforcement team, licensing specialists and managers, investigators, and enforcement counsels for all their hard work in preparing the materials for today's meeting, as well as the others. So thank you all once again, and I really enjoyed this. Thank you.
Thanks, Derek. Take care of yourself, and we'll see you down the road.
Job, Derek.
Okay, let's move on to the remainder of the agenda. I think there's 2 topics, if I'm correct, for commission discussion and votes. Well, actually, there's 3. I apologize. Mr. Executive Director, there are 2 job descriptions that you'd like to raise in front of the commission for our discussion and vote. Would you please go ahead?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As in months past, as you know, we continue to grow the agency and add roles and positions to the various departments. So these 2 are relatively straightforward and I think self-explanatory. Adding a paralegal to our legal team certainly supplements the existing resources, but also brings in a specific skill set to support not just Christine, our general counsel, but our deputy general counsel, associate general counsels, as well as our legal assistant. So continuing to build out the ranks there. Next is the role of a copywriter. We do a lot of drafting and original writing here at the agency. That includes a lot of the materials that do end up before you for your review, as well as any materials that may be used for, say, FAQs or outreach materials. And so as we try to expand our reach, expand our accessibility and approachability, the role of a copywriter will certainly relieve the burden that right now falls to a variety of folks. So really trying to hone that specific skill and bring it in-house and make sure that we can continue to support our desire to be a more accessible, more approachable agency across the board. So these are new positions, which is why they do require your approval. And I think to anticipate a question, yes, they are in fact budgeted for.
I'm sorry, I'm so predictable.
Happy to answer any other questions that may exist.
Before I have ask for a motion, are there other questions for the executive director?
John,
Go ahead, Commissioner. No,
John,
Commissioner, go.
Can you hear me?
Yes, now we can. Go ahead, please.
I just said quick question is, are we anticipating, I know our budget calendar will close in a few months. Are we anticipating more job opportunities at the CCC? Will we see some in front of us before the session closes, the budget closes?
Sure, there's a chance. What we're doing now is we head toward we're planning for a number of scenarios, one of which is obviously that we're able to secure the funding we desire. Obviously, we need to plan against what is available now, and what is the only number we have for FY23 is the governor's number. So we're kind of in a few different scenarios. We do have anticipated hiring throughout the course of this fiscal year, the remainder of the fiscal year. Some of those positions, though, are existing roles here at the agency, just expanding the personnel available. So the best one I can use and share with you is obviously the role of investigator. We need to add to our ranks there. That's an existing job description. We don't need to come back to the commission to seek approval for it. We just have plans to post and hire. So these positions, though, that are newly created, need to get your approval before we can post them.
Are there other questions or comments before I ask for a motion? Mr. Executive Director, are you willing to propose motion language for us?
Sure. So I suppose the first one, I guess I would take them separately just to.
Yeah, probably.
Sure
Yeah, I think that's right.
So the first one would be to approve the role and the description for the role of paralegal as presented.
Thank you. Could Commissioner Stebbins, would you make that motion, please?
So moved.
Thank you. Commissioner Camargo, would you second that motion, please? Once again, I'm sorry, I'm not hearing you. Thank you. Let the record show that the motion was made by Commissioner Stebbins and seconded by Commissioner Camargo. Commissioner Camargo, your vote, please.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Concepcion.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Roy.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Stebbins.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Hoffman, aye. Let the record show that the motion was approved by a vote of 5 in favor. Commissioners Camargo, Concepcion, Roy, Stebbins, and Hoffman with none opposed. Go ahead with the second motion language, please, Mr. Executive Director.
Sure. So the next motion would be to approve the description and the creation of the role of copywriter as presented.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Camargo, would you make that motion, please?
So moved.
Thank you. Commissioner Concepcion, would you second that motion, please?
Second.
Thank you. Let the record show that Commissioner Camargo made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner Concepcion. Commissioner Camargo, your vote, please. Aye. Thank you. Commissioner Concepcion.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Roy.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Stebbins.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Hoffman, aye. Let the record show that the motion was approved by a vote of 5 in favor. Commissioners Camargo, Concepcion, Roy, Stebbins, and Hoffman with none opposed. Mr. Executive Director, any other job descriptions at this point in time that you'd like to bring to our attention for discussion and vote?
There are not.
Okay, thank you very much. The next agenda item is Executive Director Performance Review Update. I wanted to acknowledge and thank Commissioner Stebbins for his leadership on this, and I'm going to turn the floor over to you, Commissioner Stebbins, for discussion and vote. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First of all, I wanted to share an update on the process of reviewing the Executive Director's performance in 2021 and the steps that we are taking with the new process for 2022. First of all commissioners completed their review, and those were submitted to our Chief People Officer. I want to thank my colleagues for that work. She has compiled all of those reviews into an overall review. The next step is to share that review with the Executive Director. We approved as part of our review plan that one commissioner and the Chief People Officer would then meet with the Executive Director, review the performance report, discuss any salary considerations, and then return to the Commission in an open meeting with an executive summary and take any necessary steps and votes at that time. For you, Mr. Chair, because you are responsible for setting our agenda, I would just make 2 recommendations at this point. First of all, our new review process, and for the ED's planning and preparation, I'd ask that we ask him to present his mid-year progress toward goals at our July meeting. And second date to consider for future agendas is that working with the Chief People Officer, we're hoping to present the new performance review tool for the Executive Director to be used this year for approval, I expect at our May meeting. So those are just two updates with respect to future agendas.
Thank you. Keep going.
Sure. I also obviously encourage my colleagues. I know we all have regular check-in times with the Executive Director. Use those times to discuss and ask about progress toward goals as we move through the year. I think that can make the end of the year kind of review writing that we do a little easier and give you some notes to fall back on. I realize the agenda might have called for a vote on a commissioner to conclude the process, but I'm happy to volunteer to finish these next steps as part of our new process. Helping to wrap it up would allow me the chance to see firsthand how our new process is working and if we should make any tweaks or improvements for next year. So that is the update, Mr. Chair. Happy to take any questions.
Are there any questions? Just from my perspective, well, let me see. Are there questions? Commissioner Roy?
No, I just want to thank Commissioner Stebbins. He wears so many hats between being secretary and overseeing this process. So I just want to thank Commissioner Stebbins for all his hard work.
I support what you just said, Commissioner Roy, but I do want to point out for the public record that Commissioner Stebbins volunteered.
He did.
Second term as secretary. Other comments or questions?
I had a question just for clarity's sake. Commissioner Stebbins, were you saying that we're not closing this out this month and that there'll be a continued conversation at one of our public meetings?
Sure. The process, again, to kind of remind everybody, I will work with the chief people officer, sit down with the ED, allow discussion and review of the 2021 job performance. At that time, we'll talk about the review, next steps, any salary considerations, and then we'll come back to a public commission meeting to review those discussions, as well as have kind of an executive summary, which is somewhat new for us to consider and take any votes as necessary at that time.
Thank you, Commissioner.
But at this time, it's my opinion that unless anybody's uncomfortable with Commissioner Stebbins continuing to play the role he's playing, that there's no need for, in my opinion, a commission vote at this point in time. And is everybody okay? Commissioner Camargo, please go ahead. You're up.
Okay.
Yeah, we're here. Are you?
I hope so. I just moved from one room to another at my house, so hopefully my internet's better. So Commissioner Stebbins, just to kind of be clear, so you're saying, and I heard what Commissioner Concepcion said, so you said that you'll be sitting down after you compile the final report, you'll be sitting down with our executive director?
Yes.
Okay.
The final report is all pulled together, so that document is ready to be shared with him. And then the chief people officer and myself will sit down with him and review it and hopefully answer any questions he has and discuss salary considerations as well.
Commissioner Stebbins, the reason it's you is because one, you had, I think, you volunteered for this. Should it be two commissioners to sit in that review with you and Sean?
It's my understanding, certainly can invite our chief legal counsel if she's joining us today. That would constitute a committee, which would then subject us to the open meeting law. So I think for the purposes of reviewing his performance, we're just sensitive to that, right?
So if it's you and one other commissioner.
Commissioner, I'm pretty sure that what Commissioner Stebbins said was correct, but Commissioner, I see that our general counsel is here. Christine, could you weigh in, please?
Yeah, so we don't want to, as Commissioner Stebbins mentioned, we don't want to form a subcommittee that would be subject to an open meeting law. I gather from what Commissioner Stebbins is saying that the commission will have an opportunity to receive the results of his work. And he can correct me if I'm wrong in that regard.
Thank you, Christine. Commissioner Camargo.
Yeah, okay. So I guess what I'm hearing is that if two of us sit in that conversation with HR and our executive director, it becomes a subcommittee, which then sort of violates the open meeting law.
It's required to be done under the open meeting law.
Ah, got it. Thank you. Thank you for that clarification. Okay, thank you, thank you, thank you.
So the only issue, as I said, thank you for that clarification, Commissioner and General Counsel. The only clarification is, unless there is any objection to Commissioner Stebbins playing that role, there's no need for us to have a vote. I'm certainly personally comfortable with Commissioner Stebbins playing that role, but if anybody would like to subject this to a discussion and vote, please go ahead. Commissioner Camargo.
Yeah, my last question is, and I know we're going to keep talking about this, Commissioner Stebbins. I know in the past, and I want to say this as well, Sean and I have conversations. This is not only about Sean as our current executive director, right, but the processes that we're putting in place for the future. In the past, I believe I had heard we had done 180 evaluation, sort of that peer-to-peer evaluation. Will that be part of the process at some point before we close it out in terms of the new process?
Can I clarify history before Commissioner Stebbins answers your question? The history in terms of at least the executive director performance review is that input was received from commissioners, direct reports. So it was both, top down and bottom up in the case of historical performance reviews. Sean, I just want to clarify the record on that. Go ahead, Commissioner Stebbins.
Sure. Obviously, as I said, we are creating a new performance review tool to align with kind of the new goal setting process that we put forward for the executive director. My expectation is, Commissioner Camargo, to your point, that we'll continue to get that feedback from the executive director's direct reports.
Just to be clear, I don't understand what you're saying, Commissioner. So we're talking about the processing moving forward for 2020 and for this year. So are you saying that will be a part of it, or it still hasn't been discussed if that will be a part of it for the new process?
I expect it will be a part of the new process. Again, we are going to vote on what that new tool is, most likely at our May meeting.
Got it. Thank you so much. Thank you for the clarification. And this is the only time that all five of us can talk about this stuff. So patience, but you got to ask the questions. Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Roy, please go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm just curious, Commissioner Stebbins, if there's a change or a modification in the ED's goals due to the needs of the commission. When do we find out about that? Is it the mid-year review, mid-year update, or as the changes or modifications happen?
If there were to be any modifications to his goals, I would fully expect the executive director to raise those with us. I would encourage him to do that sooner rather than, not wait for that mid-year review, but certainly the mid-year review, which is also mirroring the performance review process that all of our staff go through, is that mid-year check-in. How are you doing in terms of progress towards goals? But, I would certainly encourage the executive director, if anything interrupts that he can bring that to our attention whenever it's feasible.
Yeah, let me, I'm sorry, I need to jump in. We vote on the executive director's goals, and if there are changes to the executive director goals, we vote on them. It is certainly the prerogative of the executive director to come to the commission and say, because of these circumstances, I would like a reconsideration of my goals or a change to my goals. That's perfectly appropriate, and I think it's a perfectly appropriate discussion for us to have. But the only way the executive director's goals get changed is if the commission votes to change those goals. That to me is very clear.
Thank you.
Okay. Once again, I'm going to ask the same question I've asked now. This is the third time. Is there any objection or any desire to have a discussion and vote over Commissioner Stebbins continuing to play the role that he articulated? Then I think we can move on. Thank you very much. I think we can move on to the next topic, which is responsible vendor training renewals. We have one that is up for discussion and vote. I don't know whether it's MACD or MACCTI, but let's go ahead with that. Welcome back.
Thank you, Chairman Hoffman. I called them MACD, but I believe it's MACCTI.
Okay, well, thank you. We'll go with. I suspect that you're the knowledgeable person on this topic, so we'll go with that. Thank you.
Yep. So I will be presenting one RBT renewal application for your consideration and vote today. The following applicant for your consideration is seeking a renewal of their 2-year certification for responsible vendor training. They have been certified by the Commission since March 2020. The entity is titled MACCTI LLC. They operate out of Sudbury, Massachusetts. They have trained approximately 219 agents since their certification in 2020. There have been no updates to their contact information, and they have remained current with all regulatory changes. So the staff recommends your approval of this renewal application.
Thank you so much. Before I ask for a motion, are there questions or comments from fellow commissioners? Go ahead, Commissioner Roy.
In light of this blanket condition I put us through, do you know when we'll have another data pull, Olivia, to know if we have an increase from 50% compliance?
Yeah, I suspect I'll do one in May. I try to do it about every 3 months.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions or comments for Olivia? Commissioner Camargo, did you raise your hand? Okay, then can I have a motion, please, to approve the staff recommendation to renew MACD as a responsible vendor training?
Moved.
Pardon?
I said so moved.
Thank you. Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Okay, let's make sure that Commissioner Camargo made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner Concepcion. Commissioner Camargo, your vote, please. Thank you. Commissioner Concepcion.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Roy.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Stebbins.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Hoffman, aye. Let the record show that the motion was approved by a vote of 5 in favor. Commissioners Camargo, Concepcion, Roy, Stebbins, and Hoffman with none opposed. Thank you, Olivia.
Thank you.
At this point, there is no additional business that I am aware of. Let's go to the dates for our upcoming meetings, please. So next meeting, unfortunately, not that far down the road. It's April 7th. So staff, thank you ahead of time for all the work that's going to have to be done over a relatively short period of time. And same to my fellow commissioners who I know do a detailed and rigorous review of all commission materials that is noted and obvious and really important. So thank you for that. Can we just put up the next slide? Again, this is just for people's planning purposes, but these dates are subject to change. These are the dates for the remainder of the calendar year. There being no further business before the commission, may I ask please for a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Can I have a second, please? Let the record show that Commissioner Concepcion made the motion, seconded by Commissioner Stebbins. Commissioner Camargo, your vote, please. I didn't hear you. I'm sorry.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Concepcion.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Roy.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Stebbins.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Hoffman. Let the record show the motion was approved by a vote of 5 in favor. Commissioners Camargo, Concepcion, Roy, Stebbins, and Hoffman with none opposed. We are adjourned at 1:37 p.m. Thank you to everybody involved here, my fellow commissioner, staff, and particularly people that helped put this meeting together, Haley and Grace. We are adjourned. Take care, be safe, and my personal prayers for peace.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Chairman?